What do you remember when you first met Ringo?
We first met Ringo by seeing him playing in Hamburg.
Yeah.
He was kind of suave. He was more grown up.
Yeah.
I mean, he always was the oldest in the Beatles and still is. Because he'd been working professionally before we had. We were kind of much more amateur than Ringo was. He had like a big car. None of us had cars. And Ringo's great thing, he's so suave, he would light, if he was with a girl, he would light 2 cigarettes.
Like Humphrey Bogart.
He'd seen it in the films,
yes.
you know. The drink he had was bourbon and 7. We didn't know what that was, so we could get it at the bar, so we all started drinking bourbon and 7. We went back to Liverpool and said, bourbon and 7, please. They said, what? What are you talking about? What's that? And they didn't have bourbon and they didn't have 7. So it became Scotch and Coke. There was one thing we were particularly impressed with, which was the drum part to What Did I Say, the Ray Charles record that I loved. Doing that in Hamburg with Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. And it was like, wow, he's really good. And so we admired him and we'd go around to watch them just to hear him. So that was it. We knew him from Hamburg. And once our then drummer, Pete, didn't show up and Ringo sat in for him, I so clearly remember me, John and George, as the front line, standing in the line at the front on 3 mics, and this guy behind us. And when he kicked in the drums, it was like...
One of the things I noticed in listening to the tracks is that sometimes the songs will start as a folk song or a ballad, and then the rhythm section comes in, and the rhythm section is thinking something completely different than that, and it changes the whole picture fast. Well, you say, you bring the song in, you kick it around. Yeah.
And then if someone gets an idea, why do we do that? Or how about this on the drums? Or Ringo, like on a song like Get Back, we're just kicking it around as a little jam. And then he gets on the drums. He's got this little kind of almost military thing going. Well, that really then, great, different.
Absolutely.
As you know, instead of just dot, then somebody else needs to fill in.
Yeah.
But he was doing made a world of difference.
Welcome to Paul or Nothing, the place to get all of your Paul all of the time. Join me, your host, Sam Wiles, as we discover the history, the music, and the man behind it all, Paul McCartney. To get in contact with the show, email us at paulmccartneypod@gmail.com.
Hello, goodbye, and welcome to another episode of Paul or Nothing, the place to get all of your Paul all of the time. And remember, folks, this is widescreen podcasting. This is widescreen podcasting. I'm, of course, your host, Sam Wiles. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you're all well, safe, and sound. On this truly glorious day, everyone, we are here to commemorate one of the most illustrious and quote-unquote fruitful collaborations between Paul McCartney and one of his oldest friends. Of course, we've already talked about A Toot and a Snort, the only post-Beatles album to feature both Paul and John, and my previous sentence definitely points to the fact that we're not going to be talking about George. Covered George Martin quite a lot as well, that we need to do a George Martin solo episode at some point, but no, we can only be talking about one other person, everyone, and that is, of course, one Richard Starkey, aka Richie, aka Ringo Starr. Yes, my dear friends, we are going to be discussing about the post-breakup solo collaborative efforts between Paul and Ringo, and this is a relationship that has produced a surprising amount of content over the years. They may not have worked terribly consistently, but they certainly did enough on and off over the years to make a substantial amount of music, enough so for an episode the length of which you've probably just checked now. Some of it I had heard before, some of it I had not. I'm sure the same is true for many of you listening right now, but yeah, I thought it was about time for me to fill in the blanks of this part of McCartney's career. I'm going to start another side series soon where I'm going to be talking about all of the songs Paul either collaborated on or gave away to other artists, and I thought this would be the best way to ease myself into that concept. However, I was not going to do this alone, and who better to help me with this endeavour than the host of the truly excellent Ringorama podcast, Lukas Hammer. I've wanted to have Lukas on the podcast proper ever since we did an episode of Macca in Your Attic together. He's a toppermost lad, and like so many of the other young'uns who now make me feel like an old man, he is incredibly knowledgeable and well-read, shockingly so. Of course, I tried to hold the fact that he's a Ringo fan against him, and he certainly had a thing or two to tell me about his subject matter, along with all the classic, obscure, near-useless information surrounding it. We had a great time, and I'm glad to bring this episode to you all now. Not going to lie, it was weird doing such a long episode again, a classically long Paul or Nothing episode, and since it was recorded rather late at night, we do start to flag towards the end, and I just wanted to mention that apologetically because I don't want anyone thinking that it's because I didn't enjoy talking Ringo. He's a Beatle, I love the Beatle, I love Ringo. Ergo. But, as always, before we crack on with any of that, we must first deal with the housekeeping. Starting off, what do we have in terms of news for today? Well, of course, the big one, Paul McCartney turned 80 years old. Yes, folks, on June 18th, our Macca turned the big 8-0. Congratulations to him. Many happy returns. Today it's your birthday. Well, it's my birthday to you. You know, all of that jazz. I know some of you are probably wondering why I didn't do an episode commemorating it. To me, it's more just a news item at the head of a podcast, you know. I know a lot of people might be doing, like, you know, top 80 this, top 80 that, as like a nice little format or whatever, but I've been working on quite a few episodes at the moment. We got Driving Rain coming up. I thought I'd just focus on all of that, but hey, maybe I'll do that as part of my next like Patreon exclusive episode or something like that. We also had Record Store Day around this time, aka Women and Wives Day, the day when the Women and Wives big 12-inch single came out. 3,000 copies were made or something like that. A side you got Women and Wives, B side you got the St Vincent Women and Wives as well. Sadly, I was working that whole day. It was my last day before a brief week holiday that I've had, and I went to 3 or 4 record stores in Birmingham the day after, and yeah, no one had any. Guess the plan is just to wait until it all comes down on eBay. You know, I remember when, like, in a hurry, that exclusive Egypt Station single was going for hundreds of pounds when that first came out, and now it's far more reasonable. I will be doing the same with Women and Wives. Though if anyone's got a spare one, you know, that they've got lying around, hey, hit me up. Speaking of spending money on vinyl, we've also had the announcement of the McCartney 1, 2, 3 box set. Yes, I think we all knew something like this was going to happen even back when McCartney 3 was originally announced. This is a box set which either has 3 CDs, 3 black vinyl or 3 coloured vinyl that celebrates the journey that is McCartney 1, 2 and 3, spanning from all the way back in 1970 to 1980 and right up to 2020. I know a lot of people out there were kind of upset and annoyed that it wasn't the announcement of another archive collection box set, but don't worry, I'm sure 1 or 2 are going to be announced very shortly. I feel like this is more of just a little puff piece to celebrate those 3 albums and get a collection together. It's another great excuse for me to get yet another copy of McCartney 1 and McCartney 3, and my second copy of McCartney 2 actually, so it'll be nice to have that on a nicer pressing. I don't know if they are any higher quality, we will have to see, but yes, I did immediately dip into the Patreon funds and get the colour vinyl box. I just had to, folks. I just had to. I'm very much looking forward to this. It'll be definitely fun to have as part of my collection. I'm sorry if you'd rather me have waited to spend the money on a London Town back to the egg box set, but I'll be doing that anyway. Of course, Macca has finished his Got Back tour. That American leg has now finally come to pass. For his last show, actually, for his latest show, Bruce Springsteen came on stage. Many thanks to my patron Lou Delonado for sending in great photos of that moment. I guess, you know, when you don't have Ringo about, you get Bruce Springsteen on instead for a wonderful rendition of Glory Days. Let's just hear a quick clip of that now. So yeah, that was taken from the MetLife Stadium show on the 16th of June in New Jersey. That must have been a real treat for the locals there. Not only do they get to see Macca, but they also get to see their own local hero. All great fun. Of course, now that that tour is over, Paul is set to play Glastonbury tomorrow. This is being recorded on Friday the 24th. Paul is performing on the 25th. And yeah, we're all waiting with tender hooks to see how that goes down. There's been a lot of talk about Paul and his voice and the band and whether he should still be touring. That's all been mostly kept insular within the Beatle fandom. Now this is Paul putting himself out there at 80 years old for the wider world, for the normies, shall we say. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see the discourse in the media over the next few days about that. Of course, to celebrate, I'm going to be doing a live Glastonbury review episode. Fortunately, all of my friends are either at a wedding or seeing their significant others, so I'm going to be free that night doing a live report as it is happening. Of course, he's set to be on at like 9 o'clock or something on the stage on Saturday, and it starts being broadcast around 10 o'clock that night. So, yeah, if you want to stay up with me, let's watch some Glastonbury together. I've never really done a live episode like this before, so yeah, let's see what a Paul or Nothing proper live episode, reacting stuff as it happens, is like. That'll be out very shortly after. Also, speaking of Glastonbury, Paul just, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, announced an extra performance date, and that is taking place today, the day of recording on Friday the 24th, and it's the day before his Glasgow performance. It's taking place at the Cheese and Grain, a venue in Somerset here in the UK that only hosts 700 people. This is probably just going to be allowing him to warm up a bit. You don't get much of a sound check at Glasgow, of course, and so this is a great way for him to limber up for probably the biggest show of the year. Now, this can be great for the 700 lucky people who did get to go, you know, having Paul do a more intimate show in a smaller venue. Who could resist that? But there's also a quote from the venue themselves who have said, "What an amazing treat. We are told that this won't be his normal set either, so it should be an afternoon full of wonderful surprises. A change to the Paul McCartney set? What ho, what is all this? How very exciting indeed. I will definitely be keeping my ear to the ground with this one, as it may give some clues as to what Paul might be playing at Glastonbury." Again, let's just see what happens, folks. But yeah, that is the end of the news segment. Let's go to the correspondence. To get in contact with the show, email us at paulmccartneypod@gmail.com. That's paulmccartneypod@gmail.com. And anything you want to say, anything you have to say, please send it into the show. I love reading out any correspondence here, as always. As long as it's tangentially or loosely related to Paul, I want to hear it. I want to hear whether you've been on the Got Back tour, whether you're going to Glastonbury, whether you've got something to say about a recent episode of the show, something coming up. Maybe you've got your own fact or factoid, whatever it is. And we actually do have quite a bit of correspondence here today. So let's just crack on with that. First of all, we have a regular correspondent, sometimes early access editor and patron, Teresa Brader, who has written in to tell us kindly about her experience with the Got Back tour. She says, Hi Sam, for several boring reasons I've never seen Paul live before. During the pandemic, I started regretting that, and on the day of the Orlando pre-sale, I bought $65 tickets, 2 seats at the end of the row, high up, but not ridiculously so, and a restricted view, which means we wouldn't see the video screen behind Paul. During the 10-hour road trip to New Orleans, I played Paul songs the whole way and time flew. At the show, I didn't leave my seat once, sang along to every song, happy about the Wings numbers that others didn't seem to know, and the concert flew by as well. Even my husband, a casual fan, enjoyed all of the Paul stories and laughed at all of his jokes. He loves fireworks, so you know what his favourite performance was. We were even close enough to feel the heat. I've Got a Feeling wasn't a surprise, but I still found it moving when John first appeared. Most moving to me, however, was Carry That Weight, because all I could think about was how much Paul has indeed had to carry throughout the years. The song has since become even more special to me. I'd already been beating myself up for not going to the last show in New Orleans on the last tour, but now I'm glad it all worked out this way. If I'd have gone then, I wouldn't have travelled to Orlando for what, by all accounts, was Paul in better form this time around. The end, Teresa. As always, Teresa, thank you so much for your correspondence. That was a lovely little narrative there. First of all, once again, we have another American travelling 10 hours via car because a sophisticated multi-state train network does not seem to exist. I hate being in the car for more than 20 minutes, so I don't know how I do on a 10-hour road trip. I hope your husband didn't mind all the songs on the way there and back as well. 20 hours total. Oh my God. But it was lovely to see that he, as a casual fan, as you said, was enjoying all of the classic Paulisms as well. $65 a ticket as well. That seems perfectly reasonable. Nothing that the headlines seem to be making out at all. I'm sorry that you got a restricted view, though. I hope it didn't hamper your overall enjoyment of the experience. It is weird, though, that Carry That Weight is something like he hasn't really done before. I feel like with the amount of times he's done the medley and stuff, it surely would have happened by now, but I guess not. And it does seem to be a rather more poignant song for a man at 80 years old to be singing. But yeah, overall though, I'm just so glad that you finally got to see him. It was such a life-changing experience for me when I got to see Paul. I actually mentioned that later in this episode. But yeah, it's so important that we all get to see him, especially now when opportunities may be drying up. So good for you for taking the initiative and making sure that you weren't going to be living with any Macca-based regrets in the future. Peace and love, Teresa, as always. And following on from that, we have another lovely Got Back experience, this time from @SGL New York, one of my loyal Twitter followers, very active on the Twitter page, at least as far as I can see. And he sent this. Hey Sam, saw Paul at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey for the last show of the tour. I wore the t-shirt for me, made by @Nickelwood, aka Sarah. It actually got quite a lot of attention from a couple of people. The tour dates are on the back, and I'm sure he's hoping to use new dates for a European tour. I bought myself 2 tickets on the pre-sale, and I paid just $80 each. Crazy, I know. Very lucky. The seats would be where you could see him, and that's okay. We could still see him as an ant, but we couldn't see the videos behind him, just the ones on the side. It took away from something, but I really didn't notice. Having seen Paul between 20 and 30 times now, I was just happy to be in the building and having continued my streak of seeing Paul McCartney at least once each decade since the 1980s. He came on at exactly 8:30. It was a colder, blustery night with a good chance of rain thrown in. I went with my friend who saw him once in December 89 and once in July 2009. For him, every song seemed to be new and fresh. The couple next to me, in their 40s maybe, had definitely never seen him before and were excited. They were shocked when they asked me how long this will be, and I said 2 hours 45 minutes. The total time was actually 3 hours after 39 songs. There were definitely younger fans, teens and 20s in the section where I was. They were thrilled to be hearing all the songs, and everyone around me laughed at all of his jokes and stories. When fans like us think, oh no, not this story again, remember, the vast majority of the 65,000 fans in attendance have never heard these. Of the non-Wings, non-Beatles songs, Come On To Me and New got good responses, but not For You. Actually, in the middle of the set, at songs 18 through 20 seem to be the bathroom break songs. In fact, the lady next to me asked me during New if she could go to the bathroom or would she be missing the end of the show. I laughed and said, this is just the middle. The only song where I might voice my issue with is maybe I'm Amazed. It was a really bum note from the start, though Here Today and Something got huge hands. After that, Get Back and Band on the Run were really getting the crowd going again. Again, it was a cold, windy night. Paul teased about a local artist and the fans started shouting, Bruce, to which Paul remarked, oh, you guessed it. Then Bruce Springsteen showed up and played with Paul, two energetic versions of Glory Days and I Wanna Be Your Man. Then, of course, we had Let It Be with all the cell phones lit up. Then the rain started coming in with Live and Let Die, but thankfully it was short, and the flames, which could be felt by us in the upper decks, were so inviting. The fireworks were terrific. Hey Jude was excellent, except for the just the guys, just the girls moment. It didn't have any prolonged coda though. The encore was the same as I would have expected. However, John Bon Jovi came out with his balloons to lead the crowd in Happy Birthday to Paul. The crowd spontaneously sang this earlier in the show too, which led Paul into Birthday. Springsteen came back out to join Rusty, Paul and Brian with The End. After 3 hours of performing, we were once again amazed by Paul's mental and physical stamina at 80. We did see Paul one more time. His black bus passed us as we were leaving the stadium. He waved to the crowd as he was followed by several SUVs. I have a feeling he stayed longer than usual after the show, since it took us so long to leave the venue, as there were a lot of celebs waiting to wish him a happy birthday. It took us just an hour to leave the parking lot. All the cars were stuck in there, but people were singing Hey Jude, Na Na Nas as they waited with the windows down. Wow, what an incredibly vivid picture you've painted for me there, dude. Thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed reading that. There's so much to pick through, actually. Again, really, really cheap tickets. So cheap, and yet you can still feel the flames of the Live and Let Die fireworks. That's very interesting. Having seen Paul, oh my god, in every decade since the 80s, that's just so awesome. I love that moment when you were telling the kind of the newer show fans, like, oh, welcome to the fucking show, like, this is what it's going to be, like, this is going to be intense for you. 3 hours for someone who doesn't know, that's hilarious. And yeah, the idea that we shouldn't be expecting Paul to make a show entirely for long-established fans and, you know, give new stuff is totally valid. I mean, it's the same reason why Paul's setlist hasn't changed after all these years. He's well aware that this is always someone's first Paul McCartney gig, and for those people, for those first times at those first shows, he does still make the magic. Getting to see Bruce, incredibly cool. That's so mad, actually. You know, I got to see Ringo and Ronnie Wood. But I think, you know, say you saw Bruce Springsteen, probably get you more clout, actually. That's probably a rarer, more personal thing to be really excited for, you know, especially for the people of New Jersey. Like, you know, having their idol come out and then be on stage with Paul, that's pretty damn cool. Also, everyone, if you don't know what t-shirt he's talking about at the start of the email there, I'll put a link to it in the description for this video. It's a really cool t-shirt, actually. It's like this visual tapestry of Paul's career and album covers done through the letters in his surname. It's very cool. Gotta go check it out. Anyway, thank you SGL New York for that. That was a really fun message to read. Thank you so much for giving such a detailed description there. You know, as cliche as these things always are, it really felt like I was there. So thank you for that. And if any of you want to be like those two there, do not hesitate. Send in your emails and or Twitter correspondence to @McCartneyPod or PaulMcCartneyPodcast@gmail.com. Speaking of Twitter, of course, you can follow us on our Twitter page, which again is @McCartneyPod for daily updates and just general McCartney memery. If you want some bonus Paul or anything written content, you can go check out the sister blog at paulmccartneypod.wordpress.com. Follow us on all the socials, you know, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us on YouTube as well by either typing in Paul or Nothing or Paul McCartney Podcast. Of course, YouTube is where you can find all of our episodes of Macca in Your Attic, another one of our little side projects where me and a guest go through McCartney memorabilia. If you love this show, you will love that. Go and check it out on YouTube now. If you want to help out the show right away in a way that takes less than 30 seconds, please leave us a review on whatever platform you are on, whether it's a like, a thumbs up, a tick, a comment, a share, or maybe even writing a delightful little review to explain to the rest of the world how awesome this show is. No pressure, you don't have to, but if you've got 30 seconds spare, again, it's always appreciated. And finally, if you want to help out the show directly, if you want to help see the show grow, if you want to help see get me new equipment and product to review, or maybe you just want to say thank you for all the work that I put into the show, then consider joining our Patreon family. You know this shtick by now, folks, but Patreon is the platform by which you, the public, can support independent content creators such as myself by chucking a couple of dollars at my face down the internet every month. I know that times are harsh now, you know, the financial crisis globally is ridiculous. I'm not begging you for money, it's not imperative. It's just a little fund that goes into like getting new vinyl and stuff for reviews. That's really it, folks. It's nothing too major. It's a wonderful bonus to my life, and it, you know, allows me to be a lot freer as a McCartney fan. But there is no pressure. It's just if you really enjoy the show, if you like what I'm doing, then, you know, give me a couple of dollars a month. That's all I'm asking. But it is not just a gimme. You do get your money's worth. You get 2 days early access to all finished episodes of Paul or Nothing. You get 1 week early access to episodes of Macca in your attic. Although you do get access to the Paul or Nothing video stream as well. So anything I do on Zoom will be uploaded unedited from start to finish with video as well. So if you want to get in on episodes super early, like there's one up there now where I appear on someone else's show, that won't be out for several weeks yet. You can go watch that right now on the Patreon page. You get instant access to lost and deleted and bonus episodes of Paul or Nothing that will never be released. You get access to all of the scripts that I use for the show as well. And there is also the exclusive Patreon vlog, so I do an extra episode each week, or as often as possible. At the time of recording, I'm about to actually record another one where I'm going to go through all of Paul McCartney's songs from the 80s that he has and hasn't performed live. Shock horror if you know the answers to that one. But yeah, there's like an extra hour of Paul and I think uploaded every week, so if you want a bit more of this, then you know where to go. Yeah, obviously, please consider trying the Patreon page, folks. It massively helps out the show. And the show would not be where it is without the kind patronage of people like Brian Brigman, Andy McNeil, Boz76, Jeff H, David Staberski, Mitzi Carter, Andy Cochran, Guy Jenkinson, Nancy Tweley, Richard Campbell, Christopher Newman, Mrs. P, Broderick Harper, Matty Ryber, Richard Shuley, Richard Driver, Chris Atkinson, Richard Binnington, Mr. B, Teresa Brader, Stephanie Miller, Katrina S, Sam Hode, Lou DiLeonardo, Robert A. Carabelli, Warren Butson, Cheryl McCoy, Matt Phillips, and of course, Sir Percy Thrillington himself. Anyway, now that all of that housekeeping is out of the way, it is time for us to get ready to pop some blisters on our fingers as we explore the collaborative history of one Ringo Starr and one Paul McCartney. 1, 2, 3, me, take it away. And hello, everyone. We are back here at Paul or Nothing. What's my name? Of course, my name is Sam Walls. We are here today to talk Macca and Ringo. We are going to go through every single Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr collaboration, helping hand, duet that they've ever done. And who better to help me than the host of the indomitable, the brilliant Ringorama podcast, a podcast where I actually learn stuff listening to it because I know absolutely fuck all about Ringo Starr. His name is Lukas Hammer, who, now that I think about it, his name actually sounds like someone who would appear on a Ringo Starr album as one of the collaborators. Lukas, welcome to Paul or Nothing. It's great to have you on, dude.
Yeah, it's nice to be here finally.
Yeah, no, I had you on Macca in your attic probably about half a year ago or something like that. Yeah, and I knew I was going to have you on to talk Ringo because you are probably one of the bravest podcasters out there. Like, there is now a George Harrison podcast out there. I don't think I'll be able to do a George Harrison episode because they really collaborate at all after the Beatles broke up. But you indeed did start Ringorama, and I just thought you might be able to tell me a bit about that, what inspired you to start Ringorama, and how long have you been a Ringo fan?
Well, I really started out as a Paul fan. So I got all the Paul stuff, but I got into Ringo because, like, I listened to, like, some of the stuff, like, from his 90s work, and, like, that's really cool stuff. So I got into that. Then I thought, well, there's no Ringo podcast. That's an open market. There's, like, 5 Paul podcasts. They're all really good. A lot of Beatles podcasts. There's the couple John Lennon ones, and there's one George one. there wasn't even a George one when I started. So it just seemed like a no-brainer to do it. And it's been really fun. I'm really excited to do a whole bunch of the 90s albums. I'm coming up to them.
No, I think you should be. In doing this episode, I've become a big fan of the Vertical Man album. I actually think that's not a bad record. There it is, folks.
I have two copies of this album.
Of course, the inner sleeve is vertical.
This doesn't have the booklet. I have one downstairs with the booklet because I bought this with the bonus disc with the rarities.
So, in terms of Ringo collecting, is it mostly just CDs after like the late 80s, or did he still put out a couple of pressings of vinyl for most of the stuff?
Like, too bad I didn't bring all my vinyl. But like all the way from like Sentimental Journey to like whatever Old Wave, you can get Time Takes Time because that got reissued on vinyl. You can get everything on vinyl.
Okay, wicked.
Okay, and then you can get the Christmas album, which you don't need. You can get that on vinyl, but like it's like -1 cent on eBay. So some of my favorite Ringo albums are the albums he made from 1998 to 2008, and you can get everything from before 1998 to after 2008 on vinyl.
So what are they then? What's
Vertical Man, Ringorama, Choose Love, and I don't really care for Liverpool, but I bundle it in because it's on vinyl.
Fair enough.
And then starting with Why Not, you can get a pressing of this for like $100 on vinyl, which is
$100. Oh my gosh!
We got this for $4 yesterday.
No, I imagine it's probably quite cheap to be an introductory Ringo collector, but then to be a completionist.
No, it's not. I mean, getting a CD of Stop and Smell the Roses, which I guess I'm just have it here because it's got Paul on it. But this goes for $400 on eBay.
Holy fucking shit!
I've scored it from $30.
Oh my gosh! Oh my word! I mean,
I don't even think Tom Hunyadi has it. I think he was like, "I'm jealous."
If you can make Tom Hunyadi jealous, my friend, you are doing something right. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I mean, yesterday I just splurged some spare cash on the McCartney 1, 2, and 3 box set that's just been released. And
it just got announced. If it just been released, I would have had it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
There needs to be a Ringo archive collection, that kind of thing. Maybe.
Once you get a couple bonus tracks that already exist.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could do maybe more box sets rather than individual re-releases. Like, say, if you did, Ringo 70s, Ringo 80s, Ringo 90s, and then 2000s onwards.
You could give me 2 for releases. Like, give me Ringo 1 and Ringo 1. Give me Ringo Goodnight Vienna. Both of those albums are less than 40 minutes long. You can put them both on a disc and then give me some unreleased stuff at the end. That's what the Beach Boys did.
Mm-hmm. And then you can have Buku of Blues and Sentimental Journey together as well, like the early stuff. I think certain Beatle fans would definitely be up for that. Maybe don't do
it's like Vertical Man and stuff. I want a 2 LP vinyl reissue Half Speed Master of Vertical Man. Then I'll get
Half Speed Master.
It's like 55 minutes long, and then on the 4th side you can give me the bonus tracks.
Yeah,
they have there's a whole bunch of outtakes from that album. You can give me.
Then you can have a bonus disc with all the videos, like the video for La Di Da, which I had a lot of fun watching.
The La Di Da has a total of 10 different edits. They were really trying. That song hit 63 on Billboard.
Yeah.
They made like a 2-minute edit, a 2-minute 15 edit. There's an edit that's like 4 minutes. There's an edit that's 4 minutes 30. There's an edit that's 6 minutes. There's an edit that's 6 minutes and 10 seconds.
6 minutes and 10 seconds of
the 6-minute one is just the album version that crossfades into another song. But the 6-minute, 10-second version doesn't crossfade. That's the only difference. So you can hear a little bit more. You can hear one more chorus round. I had to buy a whole $16 CD for that edit, by the way.
Fucking yes. Oh, it's so cool to know that even the Ringo stuff in the solo Beatles catalog has all these variations.
I'm like the number one Ringo unreleased recording collector. I have pretty much everything.
everything except that cassette tape that we're going to be talking about later. I assume you weren't the guy that bought that way, that with the demo.
Oh, I didn't pick up I don't have the 2 cassette tapes.
Yeah,
Angel and the Size of Attention. Yeah, I was trying.
I'll put in a good word to Paul for you. I'll see what I can get done. Yes, I'll just send it in. It's all right. Now, just before we begin, I think that I'm going to be quite controversial at the top of this episode. My favourite Ringo contribution songs, like ones that were gifted to him, are not the ones by Paul. They're the ones by John and George. Would you say that?
Actually,
yeah. Is it quite apparent especially in like the Ringo fandom, that John and George wrote the better material for Ringo? Is that fair to say?
Paul gave Ringo his throwaways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
6 O'Clock's a nice song, but like at Pure Gold, I mean, lots of these are just throwaways that he gave to Ringo. That's why he stopped giving songs to Ringo after a while.
Well, it seems like, because in the Beatles, Paul knew how to write for Ringo. Yellow Submarine, With a Little Help from My Friends, these really good songs that allows Ringo to play to his strengths, shall we say. You know, he's got a more limited vocal range. He's got a much deeper set voice. And Paul managed to write songs that, you know, Ringo could do. I know Lennon contributed somewhat to them as well, but they're mainly Paul ventures. And then in the solo era, Paul just like started writing Red Rose Speedway ballads for him. And it's like, whoa, Paul, what are you doing? Why aren't you just writing something kind of jaunty and something kind of fun, like the Country Hands or something like that? That would have been so much more appropriate. And I just love that, you know, there's probably Lennon just sitting there thinking, let's try one more way to outdo Paul. And he just gives Ringo, I'm the greatest. And it is the greatest. That's my favourite other solo.
That's a great song. He's doing it live now. I mean, he was doing it live till Edgar Winter got COVID.
Oh, no. Yeah, so as we are recording this, folks, is it 2 members of his touring band have got COVID and he's had to reschedule?
For Edgar Winter down with the virus.
Oh, my God.
I was thinking about even seeing him on this tour too.
Really?
So it's sad. It would have been like a 5-hour drive, but it was sad to see that postponed again.
Have you seen Ringo live, actually?
I haven't. By the time I was a big Ringo fan, it was COVID. So.
Oh no, that's bad timing. But he's going to be touring for another 5 or 6 years, I think. They're going to be wheeling.
Ringo wants to be like the first 100-year musician or whatever, right? I think that's his thing. I think he can do it. Because he's still I mean, I'm hearing him now on the new recordings that have just been on YouTube. Mm-hmm. He sounds great still.
I hope he's doing some Mick Jagger dancing still.
He still does a little like moving to the right, moving to the left.
Does Ringo have any quirks when he's live? Like, does he do the whole Paul, and now the men, and now the ladies?
He says, "What's my name?"
So obviously the All-Star Band is a great way to get around the fact that Ringo doesn't have quite as many classics as the other solo Beatles.
I think the All-Star Band's nice, but I feel like you miss the stuff you would get. A Ringo show would be really fun because you get to have a lot more deep cuts than usual. Mm-hmm. But with the All-Star Band, you're expecting like, he has 13 songs in the show or something around there. There's only 11 Beatles songs. He should play at least one deep cut, right? And then he's like pulling out a Beatles song he's never played just to avoid the deep cut.
Oh, that's very McCartney-esque, you know. And then someone from Toto's got to play a song. Then Hamish Stewart's got to play a song as well.
I know. I thought Hamish and Paul went on stage with the All-Stars. It'd be a great time for Hamish and Paul to reunite.
Yeah, the only time Paul has been on stage with the All-Stars was for Ringo's 70th, was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
and he did Birthday and another song, was it? Or was it just Birthday?
He probably joined on with a little help from my friends or something, came on stage.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, I want Paul and Ringo on stage doing Don't Pass Me By. That'd blow people's minds. You know, I mean, oh my gosh, he's bringing that one back.
He doesn't even do Don't Pass Me By. He did it a couple times.
Oh.
That's a fun one. But he gets on piano for it. Ringo's actually an all right piano player.
Oh, that would be nice to see. Has he ever got on guitar on stage, or is it just either drumming, piano, or standing and singing?
Well, he does piano on the one song when he does it, but it's either drumming or he's out there singing. Or he takes a break during Frankenstein.
Drink some water, yeah. Probably groaning that McCartney doesn't have to drink water for 3 hours or whatever. But yeah. Oh, dude, I really do hope you see Ringo. When I saw Paul, so much of my life just felt like it had started to make sense. And the fact that he is touring means you really have to take advantage of that, though. When Paul comes
on the Egypt Station tour, right?
Yeah. The Out There tour 2018 it
was Freshen Up, right?
Oh, Freshen Up. No, you're right.
I saw him on Out There.
Oh, wicked. Oh, so you've seen Paul. That's cool. That's cool.
This is not the shirt that I had because it doesn't fit me anymore, but this is like an Out There shirt from like 2013.
See, I feel quite bad because the show that Oh, did he? He did temporary secretary. Yeah. Oh, you lucky motherfucker.
One of those 10 dates where he did it.
That's so cool. No, that's about as common as seeing him do Women and Wives on the latest tour.
We did it for 5 dates and then it's gone.
Yeah, never again, never again. He saw too many people going to the toilet, I imagine. But I do feel kind of bad because on the date that I saw Paul, on the 18th, just before Christmas.
Oh, we must have said Wonderful Christmas Time, right?
Well, not only did he do Wonderful Christmas Time, but it was during the era when Ringo and Ronnie Wood would come on and do Get Back with him.
Oh,
and I got to see Get Back with Ringo. It was all right.
It was the Beatles.
Yeah, I got to see all the living Beatles. I kind of checked it off. Like, I don't need to see the All-Star Band. I've seen Ringo on stage now. I've kind of done it semi. But you know what, dude? We've got a lot of songs to get through today, and I've got a lot of opinions on all of them. This was a very fun concept. Lucas gave me a full list of Ringo and McCartney collaborations, and I thought, maybe I've done 5 or 6. Oh no! Oh, there's a whole lot.
I'm looking at the list right now. We can't forget the one song on Why Not though that has the bass. Always one note.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, after like the 80s, most of these are either just Paul on bass or Paul vocal. There's very little Paul gifting him songs after the kind of Broad Street
after
era.
Like 1992 or whatever.
Yeah,
where Paul gifts Ringo an off the ground era rap.
Ringo, I want you to do Meat Free Mondays. Meat Free Monday, it's a fun day. Yeah, that
happened all around the world.
Yeah. What's the name? It's Meat Free Monday. Yeah. Oh, right. Let's start off today properly with a song that might be the least subtle Beatle reference ever committed to a title. We'll start off with Bye Bye Blackbird.
Pack up all my cares and woe, here I go, singing low. Bye, bye, blackbird, where somebody waits for me. Sugar is sweet, so is she. Bye, bye, blackbird, no one here can love and understand me. Stories they all hand me. Make my bed and light the light. I'll arrive late tonight. Blackbird, bye bye. Pack up all my cares and woes.
So yeah, this is part of the Great American Songbook and all that, but the fact that this was recorded after the breakup of the Beatles and is kind of a reference to one of their most memorable songs, being Blackbird, and the fact that, McCartney is the composer and singer of Blackbird, it does make it out to me that this is kind of just a post-breakup tip of the hat to the fans, and this is the start of their long and winding journey together. And it was actually quite interesting for me, this one. I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. But before I go off, Lucas, what are your thoughts on Ringo's rendition of this American classic?
I mean, the Sentimental Journey is not my type of album. But, It's neat that Paul does the arrangement on this one. It was recorded in that weird time, like late '69, when the Beatles were kind of still together, but they weren't really. Mm-hmm. But it's just nice to see Paul and Ringo collaborating in this type of weird time. This time where John was supposedly throwing bricks in Paul's window.
Yeah, Paul probably came back from the sessions to find glass on the floor. I think I did an episode of When They Was Fab talking about Sentimental Journey, and I'm not going to lie, I've kind of got a little soft spot for it. There's a part of me that prefers Ringo doing covers rather than his own material. Might be a controversial opinion for your fans out there, but I think he's very good at picking songs that already exist that he's going to be good at singing, whereas he might not be as deft at picking songs that are going to be written for him in terms of quality. This one's definitely within his wheelhouse, and his charming presence ensures that it stays on the likeable side of inoffensive. But McCartney makes some very interesting instrumental choices in the arrangement here. This does sound like it's a real part of his Tin Pan Alley, Jim Max band kind of arrangement. This could be produced by the County Hams. It's very whimsical, very nostalgic, all while keeping it quite Ringo-esque. He's still clearly got a bit of that Ringo collaborative Beatle spirit going there. Have you heard the version that McCartney does on the 2012 album Kisses on the Bottom?
Kisses on the Bottom?
Yeah.
Last time I listened to Kisses on the Bottom, it was to help me fall asleep. Mm-hmm. But
it's not what I'm looking forward to reviewing.
It's an inoffensive recording. It's just, good old Paul with his, I think that album was basically recorded live at Capitol in one session.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Well, because when the engineer for that album passed, he said he was the engineer for my Kiss on the Bottom session, singular.
That's interesting.
I think there's probably overdub sessions on like My Valentine or something, but I think they knocked that all out in one session. Like the live album is all one session. It sounds exactly like the album.
I actually prefer Richie's version for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I don't like that slow, jazzy, orchestral thing that Paul does. And the more upbeat, quick-paced one that Ringo does is just a lot more obviously enjoyable. I love the little bit of banjo on it as well. It kind of gave me that kind of Al Jolson feel, maybe. Although McCartney notes in the CD booklet for Kiss on the Bottom that he and John liked the song so much that they intended the Beatles to do a recording of it. Imagine the Beatles doing this song like with the Beatles or something like that, or maybe like the BBC sessions.
Yes, it definitely like a BBC. I could see this on as maybe replacing Maggie May on Let It Be or something like that, like a little song.
You know what? This has to have been played during the Let It Be sessions.
Have to have done it during the Get Back sessions. They just haven't found the tape yet.
Yeah, Peter Jackson. He's like, oh my gosh, a film, Bob Blackbeard. Yeah, oh my gosh, I need to see that footage. It must exist.
Peter Jackson's like, I want to redo everything.
Yeah, just to include Bye Bye Blackbird. That probably would have been some of the bonus features that Disney wouldn't have allowed us to ever have seen on the DVD.
I know, but hey, at least we get the 4 art cards, man.
Yeah, at least.
I have a version of Kiss on the Bottom with art cards.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'd love that. Indeed.
It has Baby's Request on it, though. That's the real bonus there.
Mm-hmm. It'd be nice if Baby's Request first came out on Kisses on the Bottom, and we could have got Cage on Back to the Egg. That would have been nice.
They cut something from Back to the Egg. I don't know. I'd like to see Cage.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Same Time Next Year on that album.
Yes, it was definitely the same sessions as well.
I'm very excited for the Back to the Egg archive collection, London Town.
I'm hoping for Off the Ground next. I'd like them
I'm ready for Off the Ground too.
Just keep teasing the Wings stuff. I think
once the Wings stuff's out, that's the end of the archive collection.
Yeah, people are not going to care about the Driving Rain one. I mean, I'll love the Driving Rain one.
We're going to get that one that says that Rusty said was a Beatles 64 track.
Oh, Rusty, you silly man. Right, for our second song here today, we have one of 2 songs that I actually own on vinyl because a very kind fan of the show sent me in the Ringo album. This is You're 16.
And green, lips like strawberry wine. You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're mine, oh mine. You're all ribbons and curls, ooh what a girl, eyes that sparkle and shine. You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're mine. You're my baby, you're my pet. We fell in love on the night we met. You touched my hand, my heart went pump. Ooh, when we kissed, I could not stop. You walked out of my dream, into my arms. Now you're my angel.
Oh, and we've got a copy on screen right now. Awesome.
I also have the vinyl too, of course.
Yes.
It's downstairs.
This is the cover of the top 10 hit for Johnny Burnett. And this is the proper solo era of Ringo's career where he's taking all the Beatle help he can get. But this is not actually the first McCartney pen tune we're going to discuss today. His contribution is probably less impactful than the last one.
He plays kazoo. He plays an album.
On this, he plays the kazoo. You know that?
He doesn't play the kazoo, actually. He does it with his mouth. He does that with his mouth.
Really?
Yeah, with Pal's kazoo. So he just puts a finger over it and makes that kind of kazoo sound.
Yeah, because there's a quote from Richard Perry, the song producer, who says, in fact, the solo on You're 16, which sounds like a kazoo or something, was Paul singing very spontaneously as we played the track back. So he's singing the solo on that. That blew my mind, actually, because it does sound legitimately like a kazoo. Yeah. And it gave me that kind of lovely Rita Meter Maid kind of vibe, you know, where they played paper on a cone just to get that sound. Really interesting that Paul's just got that little trick in his roundhouse. That's very cool.
There's a rough mix of this that is on bootleg.
Okay.
It's got like a bit more heart. The drums are up in the mix. Harry Nilsson's backing vocals up in the mix.
Okay.
And you can hear the kazoo solo more, the mouth horn solo more. A lot of fun alternate mixes on this stuff.
It all needs to come out. It definitely. I mean, a Ringo anniversary edition would definitely sell. People do love that album.
Next year, I would buy it if it came out we get a little free LP set, maybe a 4 CD, free CD in a Dolby Atmos mix.
Oh, come on. People would buy that. It is the iconic Ringo album. It's the one that, you know, all Beatle fans are aware of and have heard, no matter what area of the fandom they're a part of. It's an album that I enjoy, and I'm a massive Ringo cynic. So
number one.
Yeah, it was number one. And it was around the time when Ringo had loads of hit singles as well. It's the prime Ringo era. And is this song a classic in the wider Ringo canon in terms of that album, or? I
mean, yeah, it's one of the only ones he plays live. He's played 3 songs from the album live. He's done Photograph, of course. Actually, 4. He's done Photograph, I'm the Greatest, You're 15, and Oh My My.
Oh, wow. So, he's never done 6 o'clock. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. We'll have to get to that quickly then. But as easy as I find it to be won over by Ringo, as obviously a proven formula that all the elements in this song are, it did kind of fail to do anything for me. I get that it's meant to be like surface level fun, which it is, but it still kind of left me wanting for that magic Ringo sparkle, maybe just something to take it a little further. And I know that, the majority of his work is full of tropes and archetypes, but this one failed to cover up that fact with something a little more interesting. I mean, if we're talking about Ringo covers of Johnny Burnett songs, we're going to have to head over to Ringo's Rotogravure for his incredible cover of Hey Baby. That's a Ringo cover. That is one of my favorites. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know about that cover. I mean, it's a bit of a drunken sing-along to me.
Oh, I just love the bass, that boom, 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 boom.
There's an alternate mix of that for video, which has got like a little bit more of a clap to it, a bit more of a rhythm.
Yeah, the video's terrible. It's like
Ringo. The video quality, like it's shot on a potato.
It's so bad. It's like Ringo going down the stairs, kissing just different women as he goes down the stairs, and then...
Oh, rotogravure is interesting. My booklet for rotogravure is a misprint, and I think it's not a misprint, but all of the rotogravure booklets are misprints. So we open the booklet, and then it's just, you have a little bit of the gaple, and then it's just right into the lyrics of You Don't Know Me at All. Right in the middle of the lyrics of the fourth song on the album.
I'm missing a page, like a whole page.
And then it goes to like, then the album finishes, the album lyrics finished. And then we're back at the beginning, the first song on the album's lyrics.
Oh my God.
They put a page in the wrong order.
Oh my God. That's a real fuck up. That's so bad.
They didn't make many copies of the rotogravure CD. Any of his late 70s CDs. They never really came out that much.
Have you got the vinyl that comes with the little eyeglass piece?
That's a myth, the eyeglass.
Oh, is it?
Eyeglass. I've asked professionals about an eyeglass. I have seen one photo of the eyeglass. I have it downloaded.
Saved on an external hard drive.
It was a promo item.
Okay. Oh, so like maybe like, you know, radio.
Like
DJs,
in the little promo books, it would come with it.
Right, but it wasn't on every single one. That's interesting.
No. It was on every single one. We'd see him more. Like,
yeah,
sealed copies of photogravure around. They don't have the eyeglass.
That's interesting. I could have sworn that was the truth. That's why I've got you on, dude. That's why I've got you on. One thing that I would be remiss if I didn't bring up, though, is the lyrics for You're 16. It's probably a very trite and overdone thing at this point, but I can't be the only one that finds it a little creepy that 33-year-old Ringo singing about a 16-year-old being his. I'm totally willing for this to be intended to be played for laughs, like, oh, look, it's Ringo still thinking he's young. But even back then, like, Jerry Lee Lewis had to cancel a whole UK tour because he married his 14-year-old cousin. So people could not have been completely unaware of the connotations here. I think it's a bit in bad taste, if I'm honest. I think that's probably why I didn't like it.
He still does this song, too, now.
Over 80.
Same lyrics. He's like, he's done it like when he's 70 or something. And I don't know. Also, there's an illustration for the song in the booklet.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, he's getting off with her in the backseat of a car as well in front of him.
And it's projected on the screen.
Oh, my gosh. Ringo, you naughty boy.
How's Foreman, everybody?
He should just sing You're 60 now. You know what I mean?
You're 60 once. Because I think someone like, in the audience, like, I'm turning 60 today, Ringo. He's like, all right, we're doing You're 60 now.
That would be better. That would give the song a nicer legacy, I think.
That would be a laugh, too.
Yeah, you know, singing a love song for someone who's 60 and chasing after them. I think that's quite cute. In third place, we finally get to the part of the episode that I thought it was going to be mostly about, you know, the idea of Paul being a songwriter for hire. And so it's time now, folks, that we discuss 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock in the morning, you've just gone to sleep. I wipe a tear from my eye. It can't be the kind of company I keep that keeps me asking. You keep me asking. You keep me wondering why. I like to treat you. Every planet in the sky is in your eyes, but I don't treat you like no, I don't treat you like no, I don't treat you like I should.
Yeah, this is the first song that McCartney ever quote-unquote gave away. This isn't him playing kazoo. This is one that he co-wrote with the lovely Linda McCartney. It's an original composition. It was recorded on the 16th of April in the Apple Studios in London, as McCartney could not enter the US due to drug arrests and stuff like that. On the track, McCartney also plays the synthesizer. I always struggle with that word. The synthesizer, the piano, as well as singing backing vocals on the track. It was actually
and lead vocals towards the end.
Yes.
We've used the extended version on the Goodnight Vienna CD, not the Ringo CD.
Yeah, that was added as a bonus track.
Bonus tracks on Goodnight Vienna are all from the Ringo album bonus tracks. They're
so
like
weird.
Songs from 1972, but they're on Vienna. They could have dusted off a Goodnight Vienna outtake, I feel like.
Like, whenever I read about this song, people say it's the first time Paul and Ringo worked together, and it's like, does no one care about Sentimental Journey? They actually worked together on that. But yeah, before we talk about the behind the scenes of this song, what do you think about Ringo and his performance on this song specifically? How do you rank this one?
It's a nice ballad, and it's probably the best song Paul wrote for Ringo.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best. Maybe its closest competitors are like the stuff on Stop Smell the Roses.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a nice song. It's a ballad. I mean, it's kind of in that Red Rose Speedway vein, but it's got a nice little wingsy synthesizer on it.
Yes. This is the one with I don't treat you like I should. That's not with that refrain.
Yeah. It's a rough mix of this. Of course, there's always a rough mix. It's a rough mix of this where you can hear Paul's count in and his piano's boosted in the mix and the harmonies. You get that little coda.
I really enjoyed that coda. I think it's quite enjoyable. Yeah. Especially because
Paul's on vocals.
Yes. You also get to hear the lovely Linda's vocals as well. Yeah. Unmistakable. It's kind of like a semi-wing song, really, in many ways.
Well, we'll get to more semi-wing songs.
Yes.
Pretty much fully wing songs.
Yeah. Stuff with Lawrence Duber later on.
Actually, I think there's a song we don't know that we may have passed by for this. That's not a Paul and Ringo collaboration, but it's a Ringo and Linda collaboration.
What? What's it called? Let's look it up right now. What's it called?
So, okay, we'll get it to when we do Stop Smell the Roses.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I was just looking in the booklet for that, and there's a. Well, I'll just put it this way: Ringo's on Wide Prairie. This will keep people listening. This will get your attention.
You know what? I think I've got that written down. I can't believe I didn't remember that. Yeah, we will get back to that very shortly.
It's 6 o'clock. Nice song.
It really reminded me of Beautiful Night in many ways. It felt like there was a bit of a through line there.
When are we getting Return to Pepperland? That's all I'm thinking about now. When are they going to put that out?
Return to Pepperland? Yeah.
I love that. I love that album. All the Phil Ramone stuff. Record Store Day. Yesterday was Record Store Day over here in the States. They should have given us that little 35th anniversary Return to Pepperland.
Mate, I could not get Women and Wives for the life of me. I went to 3 different record stores.
I didn't go all day. I could have really gotten it, but I owned Women and Wives 4 times. I do not. I'm going to own it a 5th soon. I don't need another copy of it.
Let's have a look.
Reimagine. 2 copies of McCartney free. 1 still sealed. And I'm going to get this box set. So I don't need another Women and Wives copy.
So on eBay right now, £69.99, £99, £62, £75
sometime.
Yeah.
World in a hurry went down to $30.
It did very, 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 very quickly. You've just got to hold out.
Home tonight. I wish we got a record for day 45 of the world tonight.
Oh, I mean,
the picture disc.
You're so right about that Return to Pepperland, though. Maybe do Return to Pepperland and make Atlantic Ocean for the B-side or something. That'd be great. I'd love that. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you could really release Atlantic Ocean. And I do not think you could have released it on Record Store Day, which is a day off from Juneteenth. I just don't think he could have managed a slave trade song a day before Juneteenth.
Yeah, I mean, there is the version that's on the Flaming Pie record, which is the second vocal take, which is like, it doesn't mention the slave trade on it. He does kind of work around that. And I think that's why that version was on the Flaming Pie version, as you can see just above me here. Yeah, always been a weird lyric, because it's
one of my free copies.
3 copies.
I have the vinyl one, I have the 2 CD, and I have that.
Any of the Flaming Pie single CDs?
I have World Tonight.
Well, tonight. You've got to get
for you on the flip.
You've got 5 more to go, because there's 3 singles and there's 2 versions of
3
each
singles. They always had the double version.
Oh, so much to collect, so little time.
I grabbed the CD. Paul's not even on for this. I have so many ringos. This is Way the World.
Oh, that's really bad artwork, that is.
All right. What were we on about? Ringo Road Reviewer.
We are, well, yeah. Let's move on to Rotogravure, yeah.
All right.
The title of this next song might be overselling the quality a smidge. This is Pure Gold.
Tell me, is she everything I see, or is she really not the one for me? We know and know some may disagree, but do they know the way we wanna be? And do I still believe the stories I've been told? Are all the things she brings me with her waiting gold? Oh yeah, pure gold.
So yeah, we've skipped through 1974's Goodnight Vienna, which McCartney was not a part of, and now we're on 76's.
Lennon's all over that record, though.
Yeah, the song itself, Goodnight Vienna, is a classic. All right. Yeah, great song.
Rough mix of that one, of course.
Of course,
With
there
higher
is.
piano in the mix.
Like 6 o'clock, this one wasn't a single. I can't believe that McCartney did so much in the summer of 76, though, because not only did he record Wings at the Speed of Sound, he did Holidays.
Stopover. I think this was a stopover on, not on Wings Over America, but when Jimmy broke his finger or whatever and couldn't play.
Yeah, well, I thought it was probably would have been during the break, halfway between the tour, perhaps, because there was about 3 or 4 months between the Wings Over Europe and Wings Over America. There was definitely a gap for Paul to squeeze in a session with his buddy Richie. Would you say that this is pure gold, or is this a no-no song?
I don't think this is Paul's finest work. I think this may be one of his work. 76 is a rough year for Paul, actually. At least early 76. Because you have Wings Over the Speed of Sound, which is all right. It's not got that many good songs. But then when you get to the end of 76, you do have Holidays, which is nice.
Love Holidays. It's one of my favourite albums just to put on in the background. Absolutely love that one.
The only problem with that album is I feel like Paul kind of did Denny on that one, because it's like, Paul's like, I'll produce you an album, Denny Lane. We'll record at my demo studio.
No, it's meant to be like, classic rock and roll. No, Paul, can we do it at Abbey Road? No. No, we can't, actually.
Only in Rude Corner.
Yeah. Originally we were going to do a Ringo's Rotogravure episode, so this is probably the one that I'm most familiar with.
But I think you were like, this album's so horrible, I can't do it.
Not my quote exactly.
Ringo's Rotogravure is interesting, but once you get to like the end of it, it's like an experience. Spooky weirdness.
Yeah, that's clearly one of those songs where it's like, I'm going to get royalties for every song that I do. So if I just put this little thing on at the end, that's an extra song that I'm going to get royalties on.
Yeah, in the US, it was every song. That's why the Beatles only had 11 songs on albums, because they had the US was every song royalty.
Mm-hmm.
See, I only get this knowledge by falling asleep to Beatles podcasts.
Yes, I totally get that. Overall, I'd say Pure Gold is a perfectly fine ballad. There is a clear strength in some parts of the melody, like in the pre-chorus, but it's not the most exciting song ever, is it? Like
production, Ringo's, of course, being drowned out, the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
That album could use a remix, I feel like, just the vocal tracks.
Yeah, it's
the only Ringo album that could be remixed is Goodnight Vienna. So, well, because that one's got, there's stems, there's like tracks for it online.
Oh, really?
There's cool. You can get basic vocal take and stuff because it was released in quad.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Hopefully Giles Martin will come up with that technology that allows us to separate all of Please Please Me and Rubber Soul. And
I don't do that. I heard the new Beach Boys album came out yesterday, the new greatest hits album. They're using digital extraction to like take out like the tracks and stuff. And I was listening to it. I had to turn it off. There was like so much of like sound in the left ear.
Oh my gosh, that is my homework for tonight.
Back to mono, the Surf and Safari remix.
No, I've been listening a lot to the Untitled Beatles podcast, and they've convinced me that Beatles need to be listened to in mono rather than stereo now. I'm a full convert to that, 100%. Yeah, Pure Gold. It doesn't take the next step to go somewhere a bit more bombastic and interesting. It kind of just mopes around. And considering its own lyrics and the topic it covers, it seems to be kind of like missing its own point a bit. And McCartney as a songwriter, I don't think the song's unsalvageable in terms of a McCartney melody, but it's a big step down from the last song, and that wasn't the greatest one either. This is so clunky, and there's this weird like shuffle time signature that it's being performed at, and it's
like the time signature changes during the chorus, and it's like this is something he would have given to Denny Lane on a bad day.
Yeah, it totally is.
The Speed of Sound side 2 material.
And, Lennon's giving him Goodnight Vienna just before this, a song that is totally...
Only You, which became a top 10 hit with Harry Nilsson.
Like, why is Paul trying to make Ringo this balladeer? It's like, no, Paul, give him... if you're going to give him a throwaway, give him a fun throwaway. Just something a little more up-tempo and silly. And, maybe he was just concentrating...
On this song. It was written for Ringo's Girlfriend by Paul.
Oh. Is he with Barbara back at this point?
Ringo's Girlfriend by Paul. This is a weird, interesting thing going on there.
Yeah. Oh. It's maybe a bit of a Layla situation. Who knows?
But I think Ringo used to call her Pure Gold or whatever. So Paul's like, I wrote a song.
I wrote a song called Pure Gold. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, there's also a part of that wonders maybe Ringo's asking Paul to write him ballads because he knows Paul wrote, Let It Be and Yesterday, and hoping he's going to give him one of them. But he's got to be a bit silly to think that Paul's going to give him something that he wouldn't just keep on his own record, You know what? Let's leave the lucrative 1970s, which treated both Paul and Ringo so well, and press onwards to the dreaded doldrum of the unforgiving 1980s. Yeah. Being that 90% of the UK's laws are based on private property ownership, the next song does make a whole lot of sense. This is Private Property, Private Property.
Property, don't run off with it, you'll be breaking the law. Love monopoly, my philosophy, don't grow foolish with private property. we'll get on fine as long as you agree that she's my private property, private property.
Okay, this is not the next chronological Ringo Starr album. Again, we've skipped through Ringo the Fourth and Bad Boy.
And Bad Boy, which I own on. I have translucent blue swirl vinyl Bad Boy with poster. So I get it. Okay, I ordered it. It says with poster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to put this Ringo poster up my room. I was looking at Bad Boy posters, and there's like these big promo ones. They're gigantic. I'm like,
was it A4?
So the poster is just an inner sleeve.
Oh,
like this on this zoom in vinyl. I'm gonna get it. This is what the poster was, just this little piece of paper.
That's so lame.
The swirl vinyl wasn't that swirly either. They only made 1,000 copies of the Bad Boy, and I don't think they've sold through their 1,000 yet. That's what they did. They keep making versions of Ringo the Fourth. Who's going to buy Ringo the Fourth on gold vinyl for the 5th time? Who's going to buy it on orange?
I mean, I'd like a copy of Stop and Smell the Roses, and clear Coke.
On vinyl, but expensive on CD. It's on streaming. It's Spotify now, I believe.
Yeah, Ringo's Roto Gravier is not on Spotify. Clearly, Ringo's not very interested in making
Roto Gravier on Spotify. Everything in the U.S., everything's there in the U.S. on Spotify, but on Apple Music, you miss like a couple bonus tracks and Ringo 2012, which is 9 songs.
Dude, there is Ringo Starr, Stop and Smell the Roses on CD going for £1.20 right now. Yeah, and there's 2 bids. There's 1 day left. I'm going to put a bid at £5 right now. I'm going to put a bid in right now, live on the show. Confirm bid. I might. All
right, 146 plus 609 shipping from United Kingdom.
Hang on, review bid. Okay, I've put down £10. Yeah, there we go. I'm the number 1 bidder now. Oh, come on! If I can get yes. Oh, I'm going to get this. Ringo Starr.
Yeah, £9.50.
Oh my gosh. We just bidding live on the episode, trying to outrank each other. Come on, no, I'm good.
No, I don't need it. I've got the CD. $30 from some guy in the UK. They're more prevalent over there.
Mm. So this is meant to be like another revival album for Ringo after 2 late 70s duds, a bit like McCartney. Yeah.
Ringo had a rough year in 79. His house burnt down and he had to go to the hospital like 5 times.
Jesus.
And he started recording an album and he's just like, I'm not going to finish this. And then he came back to Paint by Lightning.
This track was the opening to Stop and Smell the Roses and was released as the second single, backed with Stop and Take the Time to Smell the Roses. It failed to chart anywhere. It's going to be a bit of a theme around this time. But am I correct, Lucas? Ringo wanted Paul to produce the whole album, but he ended up just producing like 4 songs, right?
Okay, I have the book. Lawrence Juber's on here. This song. So this is Wings. There's photos of them at the desk, at the working.
Oh, that's cool.
This book. This is a nice booklet. It's like 20 pages, like a whole book on the album.
That's cool. Because I think Wings were in limbo. McCartney 2 has just been released.
So guess what Paul McCartney song that Private Property shares a engineer with? Guess.
Good Night Tonight.
No. If you guessed Rough Ride,
really? Oh my word!
Steve Lipson makes his appearance on engineering these sessions.
Rough Ride,
because it has flowers in the dirt bolded in the booklet.
Stop and smell the flowers in the dirt. That's so cool. So yeah, this was recorded between the 11th and 21st of July 1980 at Super Bear Studios in Bear-la-Alpes in France. During these sessions, we got Private Property and Attention. a cover of Sure to Fall.
And You Can't Fight Lightning.
And as you just said, it's in my notes right here, Linda's Love's Full Glory. That's so cool.
No, it's backwards. It says Note Love's Full Glory. Oh, it's the master tape. It's there. I don't know how you could even read that.
In the fanzine The Right Things in 1981, Ringo said, I met Paul in France and Cannes and asked him if he'd like to produce an album. And he said, yeah. So we wrote some songs. We fixed them in a studio in France. We had 4 tracks. 3 we're using. And 1 I wrote. I think it's the best album I've done in years. This one had more energy behind it. Not sure if that's entirely true. But
that's correct. I think this is the best album he's done in years. This is the first album he's done in years.
Fair enough. I mean, it's probably... Is it better at least than Ringo the Fourth and Bad Boy?
Yeah, Bad Boy. Okay, there is a note on here about Denny Lane, which I wanted to read. Notably absent was longtime McCartney cohort Denny Lane, who had become distant from Paul following Japan, after which he had recorded a song called Japanese Tears, which chided McCartney for his mistakes and introduced a rift between the two, which would last till the following year. So they made up in 81 when Denny came down for Tug of War. It seems like. When Denny recorded Japanese Tears, they were not close.
Yeah, and then they kind of drifted apart again after Paul just went through the 80s. And then was it like 2006 when they were photographed together again?
2007, they were at a UB40 concert. They took a photo.
There is a rat in the kitchen. Oh, is that Denny? Oh, wicked, you know.
There's a whole bunch of Denny Lane and like Mark Hudson, Ringo's ex-producer. These like old Beatle cohorts who don't collaborate with them anymore. They keep saying like, my best friend. They keep pinging the Beatles and on Instagram. My best friend Ringo Starr. My best friend Paul McCartney. So excited to see you. That email you sent me 15 years ago was amazing.
I mean, I don't want to judge. I feel like I'd be doing that.
I just lost the Mark Hudson interview. I was dying for it for a year.
No, I'm after the David Kahn one now, the Driving Rain producer. But I feel like if I do ever get him on, I'll mostly just be talking to him about Lily Allen because he produced all of Lily Allen stuff. I love Lily Allen.
I'll make sure to talk to him about that Beatles 64 track Rusty was going on about.
Now, this is a case where I need my guest to review the song first to prevent me from going off on a huge patented Paul or Nothing rant. So please tell me your thoughts on Private Property.
It's a nice opener to the album. It's big. It's got this big horn section. So this is an edit. I have the original version. It's 5 minutes.
Okay.
This Paul's mix was 5 minutes, but they cut it down to 3:30 for the album and of course for the single. But I think it's nice. It's a cool opener. With nice horns on it, very Wings. But what are your thoughts?
Okay.
I'm getting ready.
Okay. This is where I have to stop being a cordial host. I love you, man. I love talking to you, but I've got to speak my mind here. This song is awful. AWFUL. From start to finish, this was one of the greatest slogs I've ever had to sit through for the show. I mean, like even the interminable easy listening and disco covers of McCartney was more palatable than this. I mean, I knew Ringo was going to have a bit of a drop-off after Rotogravure, but fuck me, this is bad. And I'm glad Paul didn't appear on the last 2 albums. I wish he hadn't have appeared on this one. The entire arrangement is like a parody of the bad Ringo years. We've got the boogie-woogie piano, obnoxious saxophone, bog-standard backing singers, a woefully out-of-place guitar solo, all held together with a generic Ringo drum beat. And there's no vocal melody here. I mean, I don't know if Paul's trying to avoid the Ringo vocal limitations, but he did it to the point whereby there are no vocals. It's just him going, private property. Like, it's awful. It's so stale and unambitious. I challenge anyone out there to hum the melody to this song. It straight up can't be done. And then we've got even more controversial, problematic sexual politics here. You know, this is the run for your life of the Ringo discography. The idea that this woman is his private property. That's a concept that was outdated 20 years before this song even came out.
Oh.
Again,
You should watch The Cooler.
Oh, I do need to watch The Cooler, actually.
They mined this song with Barbara. Ringo's guard as Ringo's all female prison guard, and Ringo in the cooler.
Right.
That's a very interesting video.
I still need to watch Caveman as well, just because I love old classic dinosaur movies. Just seeing Ringo going, ugh, ugh, all that nonsense language. Again, this could have been a comedic concept that's meant to send up those kind of opinions. It could be ironic, but the final product does not get that across at all. I don't know. McCartney's in the McCartney 2 Tug of War era here, like the era of Coming Up and Wanderlust. I mean, even something like Ebony and Ivory would have been better here.
That's a weird that's a weird way to contextualize this, because I'm thinking this is like, how does this compare to Tug of War, which is like an amazing album, and has this is like the weird middle step, because McCartney 2 is like crazy and weird and fun, and Tug of War is like this Beatles, George Martin, Imperial bedroom thing, and this is the middle step, weird saxophony thing. I think it's all right, but I understand where you're coming from.
I hope this wasn't in McCartney's back pocket. I hope this was something he dashed off in 5 minutes, because if this was something he genuinely put time into, then it is an embarrassment. Not for Ringo.
Well, this isn't the biggest embarrassment we'll see today.
No. But things are going to get better from this point onwards for this album. Look, I hope I have your attention. This is Attention.
Everybody needs attention. Everybody wants to smile. Everybody needs a mention. Attention, attention for a while. Come on, baby, give it all you've got. Get into the power of the clock. You know we'll only get it if we try. Give me your attention for a while.
Oh, we have a tape of this. This is a tape you can play of the 23-second demo tape.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Justin.
Yeah, I'm sure your fans will know this, but to all the Paul or Nothing listeners, cast your minds back to earlier this year. There was a Paul McCartney demo song that was apparently auctioned off for big bucks, and it was the demo for Attention, which features McCartney doing his patented awesome vocal percussion work, which I love.
Hold on.
Absolutely dig that stuff. The best version of that is him doing the silly love songs.
Yeah, those the Wings at the Speed of Sound demos where he's like trying to go fast because that album was recorded so fast with Denny Lane on Let Him In. Those are nice demos. The Warm and Beautiful demo, the instrumental, that's very nice.
What's that one where he's talking through a vocoder and he's like, "Happy birthday,
Message to Joe."
Mrs. to Joe, yeah.
Thank you. On the album, I think they were suggesting that was going to be in a medley with Spooky Weirdness. He was going to get that. It was going to be the 12 track on Rotogravure, so Ringo got the extra 30 cents per album.
Happy birthday, Joe. Yeah, very fun one.
I think it was just like, "Joe, I wrote you a song."
Yeah. It's not quite Happy Birthday from George Harrison, which is low-key one of my favourite Johnny's Birthday. It's Johnny's birthday. Absolutely love that one. But yeah, this tape was given to Howie Casey of Wings fame. One of my previous guests, Owen Ling, actually was sat next to Howie Casey last night in Dublin for a concert, which is really cool. And the notes for the tape reveal that both Linda McCartney and Howie's wife, Sheila, both performed backing vocals on the track. You know what? Let's just hear a quick snippet of that demo now.
Everybody needs attention. Everybody wants to smile. Everybody needs a mention. Attention, attention for a while.
Before we begin, is it a bit too morbid and reductionist to speculate that Paul wrote a second song for this album because John wasn't there to do so? Do you feel like Paul's putting in a bit more effort now?
To record John's death.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, okay.
John called Paul during these sessions, and that's where they had that last conversation.
No fucking way. Is that when they had their last talk?
Yes, John phoned in when Paul was recording with Ringo.
Egg on my face. Wow. Oh, my word.
It wasn't a spiteful move.
Look, Paul, all I'm saying is that
Paul was like,
Yelko's my private property.
Paul was like mourning John's death. He's like, I'm gonna write an extra song for Ringo because my best friend died.
Ringo, I want you to do a song called Here Today. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, after this point, I guess then that's when the collaborations for Brotherhood start to come in. Like at the moment, they're just kind of collaborating because they're artists and they've worked together before. But after this, that's when the nostalgia starts to become a big role in their collaboration, I guess.
Okay, so now Sure to Fall.
Sorry. I just want to quickly talk about the song itself. Anyway, on for the song itself.
A nice little piano thing.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, maybe my standards were set so low by the last one.
It's better than Private Property, that's for sure.
It is. It's jaunty and fun. You're right, it's got that great piano riff. It's got a very resplendent brass section. It's almost like a cheesy kind of Las Vegas Ringo song.
It's like a ballroom, not like, it's like something that would have, maybe if Broad Street hadn't been as insane. One time I watched Broad Street with a whole bunch of Beatle bootleggers over the internet.
Really? Wow.
And the whole joke we were making the entire movie was there's somebody who looks like George in it. Oh, it's George. There's somebody who looks a little bit like Denny Lane who's got tapes. It must be Denny Lane. So It's like, oh, it's George Harrison again. No. There's this guy who looks like John. So it's like, oh, it's John Lennon.
There's definitely in-jokes in Broad Street that we'll never be privy to.
Yeah.
That are
it's
very
almost like, I don't know, maybe a gotta sing, gotta dance type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul's got so many songs. Some of these little like dance songs. He's got Do You Want to Dance? Don't You Want to Dance? Do You Want to Dance is the Beach Boys, actually. He's got Don't You Want to Dance? Attention. He's got a lot of these dancing songs.
Mm-hmm. And
he did Do You Want to Dance? 76 demos where he's just like something about
Don't you want to dance? Do. Yeah. Excellent
your
stuff.
Hot Hit Cold Cuts episode on the 76 demos was very interesting.
Yes, there's so much.
Reverse.
Oh, love that one.
That was in contention for Speed of Sound, the double album version with Message to Joe.
Again, I've said it before, folks. I'll say it again. The fact that Holidays wasn't included on the Wings at the Speed of Sound archive collection is such a horrible, big
Speed of Sound archive collection with 7 bonus tracks, 24 minutes of bonus audio.
It's like, come on, just chuck it on there. Oh, well, little things you say and do. Ooh, that little Linda. Ooh, it's great stuff. You also get great Linda and Sheila backing vocals on Attention as well. You know, this is just something that it's a little brighter, a little more up-tempo. It's something that Ringo would actually sing. You know, that's why it works a lot better, I feel. But yeah, on to Sure to Fall now.
I'm sure to fall in love. I'm sure to fall in love with you. You are so sweet, and we are
Yeah, this is a Carl Perkins track written by Perkins, Bill Cantrell, and Quentin Clonch, and was meant to be the follow-up to Blue Suede Shoes, but it didn't see official release till the dance album of Carl Perkins. Also re-released as Teen Beat, the best of Carl Perkins, which the Beatles would have heard, and was also a part of their early repertoire, including Live at the BBC. Let's take a quick listen to that one. Lucas, I got to ask you honestly at this point, are you preferring Ringo covers or are you preferring the originals at this point? At least in terms of the Paul stuff.
Well, in terms of Paul's he doesn't really contribute that much on Year 16. I think he probably heard the song and did his little mouth horn solo while kind of listening to it. It was one of those studio, listen to what the man said thing, where the guy was warming up, or Bluebird or whatever. There's always a guy warming up and doing the solo.
All right. It's time to do attention now. Let's go 1, 2, 3, New Orleans. Yeah. No, I think the covers have a more consistent hit rate here, but yeah, it's a Ringo country western infused track. It's hard not to be viewing this as something that could appear on basically any Ringo Starr album, but I don't mean that in a negative way. This also could have easily found a home on Buku Blues or Sentimental Journey, and I'm sure that for most people out there, it's got a positive classico Ringo feel to it. But for me, this was easily one of the more generic, inoffensively bland tracks that we're going to talk about here today.
The problem with these, except for Year 16, they're kind of they're a little just inoffensive, just kind of random, just not random, but just little things. They're not you don't go specifically to listen to them. If they come on the album.
I mean, I can't not sit here and not compliment the production and the arrangement. I do think that that's probably the high point of the song. Paul certainly knows how to do covers very well, as we've seen throughout his career. Everything from Chopper onwards. Paul knows how to do a good cover and get the best out of these covers. It reminded me a whole lot of things like One More Kiss or Sally G or even Denny Lane's Send Me the Heart. There's definitely a kind of a Wings-esque sound to this one, clearly.
Yeah, one of those little Paul McCartney country songs.
But,
too bad he hasn't done one.
Mm-hmm. He seems to, whenever he wants to do a country song, he ends up going into more folky than country. He'll end up doing something like Don't Let It Bring You Down or Country Dreamer or
Don't Let It Bring You Down. They need to hear a new remaster of that. That's such a good song. The London Town's got so many demos and stuff. You can hear on YouTube.
The London Town archive collection's got to have so much stuff on it. It's going to have so much stuff.
Oh, it's going to be. I'm waiting for give me free CDs. They should make archive collections more reasonably priced. I think the McCartney archive collection was $30 when it came out or something.
Really? And now it's upwards of $100.
$30. And now if he sold the same product, it'd be $150 if you're lucky.
I mean, I'd like him just to re-release the archive collection so I can get them. Yeah, it's quite annoying.
But once you have,
I've just got Flaming Pie. That's it.
I've got the 2 late 80s ones, mid to late, or kind of later 80s ones. Mm-hmm. So Pipes of Peace and Flowers. The Flowers one's my favorite. It just gets so much in it.
Mm-hmm.
But then also it's so little because it's barely any Return to Pepperland stuff. He recorded all demos and stuff. There's the folky version of Figure 8 we don't have.
No, most of it's. So much of the stuff around that period ends up on the Flaming Pie album as well.
Yeah. There's no So Long Blackie re-release.
I don't even know what that is. For so long, I'm looking that up right now.
Oh, it's a medley with a song known as Mambo Me Baby.
Oh, okay.
The song knows Grand Entrance and also has a snippet of a demo called Praying Mantis from the 70s.
Ah, Praying Mantis Heart, yeah.
it's a little big demo. It's a little demo medley.
Okay, August 1988 at Root Studio was aired during the Ubu Jubu radio program in 1995. It's on Ubu Jubu Part 8. Oh my gosh, I have to find this out later. I've got even more homework, folks. But yeah, on to a song that I'm genuinely excited to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about this song. The song title is just great advice in general. This is You Can't Fight. You can't fight lightning. You can't.
I said you can't fight lightning. Said you can't fight lightning. I said you can't fight lightning. Whatever you do. Said you can't fight lightning. Whatever you do, here it comes again. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. I said you can't fight lightning, whatever you do. Can't fight lightning, it's gonna get you. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. Here it comes.
This is the final song that McCartney was involved with for Stop and Smell the Roses, and rather delightfully, it was written by Ringo. Apparently he and Barbara were nearly struck by lightning in a storm, and the whole thing was originally going to be called You Can't Fight Lightning, but there were some disagreements with CBS, which meant he kept, and then the US distributors for Starr's label Portrait, meaning that Starr had to leave the album and sign with RCA. This change led to the song being dropped and the album being renamed, and it would just go on to be a cold cut, existing only as a bonus track on the CD version in 1994, and then he re-records it for Give More Love. Yeah, a lot of Ringo re-recordings.
Sometimes Ringo doesn't records barely even 10 songs for an album. He recorded 18 songs for Give More Love.
That's so cool.
17 songs, he did the album. There's 4 remake bonus tracks or whatever, and there's this song called Now the Time Has Come, which is some sort of peace anthem, which is a all-star celebrity single or whatever, which he did. There's 2 versions of that. And there's a song called Hey Wouldn't You Hold It Down, which is a tribute song. He recorded so many songs to that album.
It's always great to see Ringo working, especially since now we're only going to be getting EPs.
I know, a Change the World EP. What was that about?
Let's change the world. What I love about Ringo's ongoing career is that the music videos have gotten cheaper and cheaper.
Oh, I have raw green screen footage for zoom-in sessions. I have raw zoom-in green screen footage.
How'd you get that? Was that just leaked at one point?
That was not leaked, but like Ringo has his behind-the-scenes videos, and he like cut in some parts of it, and there's some parts where it's just the green. You can see the green, and it's like because he must record like 50 seconds of just like, and he got it in like, and there's like a whole bunch of like video parts of it and stuff, and I don't know.
Oh my god, I need to see that. Lucas, this song really surprised me, so I'm eager to hear your thoughts first. This song should have been on the final album, right?
It should have been. It should have been on that album. It should have replaced something. It's that good. It's like a nice. It's almost like if Ringo could go like hard psychedelic, like stoner rock type of thing. It's like very like it's heavy for Ringo, and I think it's a very neat track, and it's kind of sad it didn't get on the album because it's like it's got a very interesting group behind it. Ringo's on guitar, Barbara's on maracas, Paul's like playing the floor or something. It's like the weirdest group of people on the session.
Oh wow, yeah. This is the runaway victor in terms of new songs that you've introduced to me for this episode. It's unlike anything else in the Ringo discography that I've ever heard. And that alone is cause for excitement for me. But not only that, it's the most atmospheric, esoteric, dark, and interesting one that we're probably going to be talking about.
Paul's on drums.
Paul's on drums.
He's on drums and bass.
Oh, wow. It's like a weird version of the Nurk twins going on here. Oh, that swampy tone with that relentless bass and that piano just slogging along with that heave. You're right. It's delightfully heavy. And it's not that bright Showtime, family-friendly Ringo. It's just a dirty jam where the session players get to do something a little more enigmatic.
This is an edit too.
Yeah, is there a longer one?
It's 10 minutes long usually.
Oh,
we don't have the 10-minute one, but we have the 6-minute one.
Okay. Hang on. How long was the one I listened to on YouTube?
6 probably.
5 minutes 42, yeah.
Around
that
6-minute one.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I really enjoyed this one. I love the kind of lounge lizard-esque sax.
Yeah.
There's a great electric and acoustic guitar.
Horns come in.
Yeah. And then the lyrics draw you in with this very hypnotic effect. Like it almost becomes a mantra. The lyrics are just, I said you can't fight lightning. I said you can't find lightning, whatever you do. Here it comes again. Like
here it comes. When he goes into it, here it comes in. Banana with the guitar. That's great. You should pull that out live. Can we get that? That's like a sound check song right there.
He just drills in the idea of like your powerlessness against the might of nature. I guess that's the kind of idea of the song. And by the end, for each listener, it's either going to lose its meaning entirely or like become the most profound stonery thing ever. Like, dude, you can't fight lightning. No way. Yeah. It's got more spooky weirdness than the song Spooky Weirdness. And then you've got like all this like pagan-esque hooting and hollering at the end. And he even adds like storm sound effects to the song as well. That just adds a great sense of tangible ambience. It feels like as if lightning could strike at any moment in the song. And he struck lightning in a bottle with it. And it makes no sense why it's not on the final album. Doesn't make sense at all.
It was also like, I believe Neil Bogart may have canned it too, because he was he had what was the record label? Boardwalk Records, which this album was released on stateside. And he was kind of trying to live like a carefree life. And he wanted to stop and smell the roses, not the dark Can't Fight Lightning. But the cover, they should have still used the Can't Fight Lightning cover. That's a great album cover.
Ringo with lightning coming out his ears. Yeah, that's great.
Barbara on the floor. I mean, and then they used this mug shot of him with the roses.
Yeah, it's so cheesy. And the fact that Paul had already done Red Rose Speedway, and then you got Ringo doing Stop and Smell the Roses, it kind of feels a little derivative.
Too bad Paul didn't write any Red Rose Speedway ballads for this.
Yes. Ringo, I want you to do When the Night was beautiful and mellow. Yeah. If this had been on the actual album, I'm not saying it would have got to number one or anything, but it would have curried a lot more favour, especially with critics.
Would have at least gotten a bit more critical.
Maybe broken the top 40. Let's not go crazy here.
Would Rack My Brain, an amazing pop nugget produced by George.
Mm-hmm. Was it written by George or just produced by him?
Written by George, produced by George. It's got George's ELO style vocals on it, where he kind of has the vocoder. His message to Joe inspired vocals.
Has Ringo done Rack My Brain live much?
No, nothing from Stop Smell the Roses live.
Really? He's never done Rack My
Nothing
Brain?
From Old Wave. Nothing from... So, he isn't doing anything from Change the World live now. But there is, in his YouTube video, there's 5 seconds of them jumping into Change the World. You hear a little 5 seconds of the intro. And, they were rehearsing it, but they didn't do it.
At least do, Rock Around the Clock,
I would take a cover of Johnny Be Good from Ringo.
We're down in Louisiana, don't we?
He's probably going to record it. Just wait.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Not this next EP. It was supposed to come out this March, but guess it was delayed.
Oh, shit. Is there meant to be another one? That's interesting.
There was meant to be another one. I heard from Ringo's producer and a collaborator of his that there was supposed to be a new EP last March, and there was going to be a box set for Christmas time, but things fell through.
Maybe it might be something nice to announce maybe once the second half of the tour starts, once things get back going, or maybe at the end of the tour. Who knows?
Well, actually, Ringo only releases music every other year now.
Which isn't the worst thing ever. I mean, you don't have to put something out every year. You don't have to do that.
Well, we like to do one release every year. So I thought we'd get the EP in 2021, then not get anything until 2023. But he stretched into that second EP. You can tell he did not want to do a second EP.
Mm-hmm. Oh, poor Ringo. I mean,
yeah.
He's got enough collaborators, though, that he can stretch it. He can stretch it across multiple.
I watched the Talk Shop Live, Ringo, when he announced Change the World, on the QVC program. And all the recordings stopped at a point, but Ringo had a Zoom error at the end. And I got a screen recording of a couple seconds of it.
Right.
But that's not on YouTube or anywhere. He was like, how do I exit the meeting? Can you help me exit the meeting? What is this? What did I click on? And he had the assistant come up and exit him out the meeting.
That's great. Oh, that's so cool. You don't see that when McCartney's talking to Chris Rock over Zoom. That's so funny.
Or using his Instagram lives for free imagined.
Yes. When he did that, when he chatted to everyone on that album. Oh, dude, we're coming up to Glastonbury. I really hope Paul does Women and Wives with St. Vincent live.
Was St. Vincent going to be at Glastonbury?
She is. She's at Glastonbury. She's touring the UK this month.
Opportunity. He needs to do it. He's going to be like, we're pulling out a deep cut tonight. And then
we're going to deep cut tonight and school Women and
starts
Wives.
Playing the opening notes of Blackbird.
It's Hey Jude.
It's for the Wings fans.
No, that would never not annoy me. This is for the Wings fans. And he plays a fucking Ram track. It's like, oh my God. Paul, why do you think
this is for the Wings fans? Starts keep coming back to love off the ground.
But then again, No More Lonely Nights is on Wingspan for some reason. He's got a very loose definition of what Wings means.
No Values is a kind of Wings song. I have the Wings version of it. It's rough.
Is there a Wings version?
Yes, but like the only part that's better than the studio version is that like he really screams the first line. He really puts like a heartfelt thing into the first line, and then it just goes like, "Oh, it's like a jam." It's like those 10-minute versions of Take It Away where it's just Steve Holly.
No Valleys, 1979. Ooh,
yeah.
Gonna.
Huggins Hall rehearsals. I asked Lawrence Schubert about that when I talked to him about the Huggins Hall.
Mm-hmm. Where they were practicing with a little luck and all that during that time.
No, I think that was when they were like doing tug of war songs.
Oh, I could have sworn they were practicing with a little luck for Japan. And then,
yeah, they were doing that for Japan, but Puggins Hall was after Japan. It was that weird time.
Oh, that's when Puggins
was still kind of there, but Paul was like, he had already done McCartney too at that point. He was done.
Yeah, it was over.
Didn't Linda like say to Steve Holly, I'm out the band. I want out the band or whatever. That's probably something I heard from your podcast. The sensationalist bits of McCartney.
I'll always prefer Not Such a Bad Boy. That's the real standout from that
There's
stuff.
2 more Stop and Smell the Roses outtakes that we have to talk about. 2.
Oh, really? I'm not sure what they
Let's
are.
start with Love. Should we go into Love's Full Glory, which we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. I'll be doing a Wide Prairie album review very soon. Yeah. But yeah,
Ringo's on the track. It's from the sessions. It's there. But now we have a more interesting Paul Ringo collaboration, which I don't think I can put in the notes. Paul and Ringo are both on all those years ago.
I'm shouting all about love. Well, they treated you like a dog, and you were the one who had made it so clear all those years ago. Talking all about how to give. They don't act with much honesty, but you put the way to the truth when you say all you need is love. Living with good and bad, I always looked up to you. Now we're left cold inside by someone, the devil's best friend, someone who offended all. We're living in a bad dream. They've forgotten all about mankind.
is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's not from those sessions. That's from George's Stop and Smell the Roses sessions. Because the backing track is just the Stop and Smell the Roses Ringo version.
Okay.
And George wiped Ringo's vocals and rewrote the song about John and put his vocals on and get Paul on. So they're technically on the same track, but it's like a Free as a Bird almost situation.
Yes.
Where
Oh,
it's like different eras.
it says Denny Lane's on it as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, Denny Lane. There's a photo from that session. George Martin kind of helped out too.
And you've got Ray Cooper, of course, Phil McDonald.
Yeah, he was producing a lot of George stuff in that era.
Whenever I watch the All Things Must Pass movie, the Living in the Material World movie, there's that heartbreaking Ray Cooper bit at the start to talk about him. just too painful. Like, oh God, I'm sorry, Ray. Yeah, it's very, very emotional stuff.
I know it's you probably get very emotional when he talks about producing Gontropo. The inspiration for Egypt Station.
Yeah, the album cover is so similar, and it's got the worst version of Circles on it ever. Oh, it's compared to the Beatles Isha demos one. It's chalk and cheese. It really is. But yeah, let's move on to the first run of McCartney songs that feature Ringo rather than Ringo songs that feature McCartney. And starting us off now, we have the hit album Tug of War and the song Take It Away. From 1982 in Club Sandwich, Paul said that I actually did not know until I started researching this episode. Very interesting indeed. He said, there were a couple of songs that we ended up recording which Ringo asked me to write at a certain period. I was writing some songs for Ringo and Take It Away was in amongst those songs. I actually thought it would suit me better the way it went into the chorus and stuff. I didn't think it was very Ringo. That's very revealing for me, actually.
Well, what I think is that Paul realized, Paul was writing Private Property and stuff, and he's like, oh, I Take It Away, I wrote this song. Oh, it's really good. I'll keep it for myself.
Yeah, that's literally it. That is
one of my favorite 80s Paul songs, just a classic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be great to hear a Ringo version of this. I wish there was
It wasn't recorded.
No.
We have the tape. We have the session tape for the Paul stuff. And then we'll record the 5 things.
So, everyone, we have the tapes. Yeah.
It's Broad Street. And the guy who stole the tapes looks like Denny Lane.
Yeah. Wanna hear you play till the lights come down, down, down. Yeah. I don't think Ringo would have been able to do the middle 8th. The lonely driver, late in the bar. Yeah, I don't know if he'd be able to do that stuff as well.
I don't know if he can really reach that high.
Oh, yeah.
You know about Storm, going back to Cinema, doing a song called Stormy Weather, which was cut from the album.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason that was cut from the album is because Ringo has a horrible voice crack in the fade.
I'd like to hear the crack
all the time.
Just re-record it. Come on.
I think they could have just faded out like a couple stanzas or a couple lines earlier, and they could have included it.
No, but I mean, Ringo cracks on "With a Little Help from my friends" at one point, and they just.
Well, that's the Beatles.
Yeah, you can get away with stuff like that, I guess.
Everything's hard. It's like hard because like the best solo songs, like people think they can't compare to Beatles songs, like. What maybe amazed that's not as good as Little Child off of With the Beatles. It's like the Beatles was like another bar over like the greatest of solo stuff.
Which isn't fair at all. I think, La Dee Da's better than Don't Pass Me By. I'll say it right now. I'll say it right here, right now.
It's nice, actually. I'm going to grab my CD of La Dee Da.
Grabbing a CD of La Dee Da, folks. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Would it be worth releasing? Probably not.
I feel like I realized I need some reinforcement.
Oh no, he's got like 8 CDs in his hands now, folks.
Yes. This isn't all of them, but I'll save those for later. I can grab my Pepsi piece. I won't bother about the Pepsi piece.
To be fair,
like that box that's like too big to grab.
It's got so bad on it.
Taking away the drums from Ringo. He's drumming.
How do you know what's his drumming and what's Steve Gadd's drumming, though? It's interesting that there's 2.
I don't. You have to look at the notes on the album, I think. I do not know, because they're pretty... And sometimes it's double drumming.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you think Ringo felt not being the only drummer on this track? You know what I mean? There's got to be a weird feeling for him there,
Well, he double drums on everything. There's double drumming on the Ringo album, double drumming on Rotogravure. He's always drumming with somebody. It's like a confidence booster. He's double drumming live. It's probably fine for him.
Is it Jim Keltner on the Ringo album?
Keltner.
Yeah.
You know, on those Mark Hudson era albums, though, Ringo is the only drummer.
That's interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah, and those are really good at drum albums. The way they're mixed, the drums are always front and center, which is nice.
Oh, okay.
It's good to hear them.
Weird that one of rock and roll's greatest drummers needed a confidence booster, though. That's a shame. But you know, his legacy as a drummer hasn't really been fully appreciated until quite recently. You know, people like Dave Grohl really giving him a great shout out.
Well, Dave Grohl double drums too. At least double drums for a time with Taylor Hawkins.
Ooh.
Whenever Dave Grohl's not on stage, don't like the other Foo Fighters have stuff sing songs they sing, and like Dave Grohl goes up on drums with Taylor Hawkins. I think that happens sometimes.
Of course, we've already discussed a lot of these era songs, so we're not going to spend too long chatting about them. So what do we have next? Oh, we go on to Pipes of Peace. And the song is
on Ballroom Dancing, or is that on Broad Street?
Is he on Ballroom Dancing? Let's quickly go on the Paul McCartney Project.
Paul McCartney Project, best friend.
Yeah, it's just the best website ever. It really is. Ringo Starr on drums. Oh yeah, Ringo Starr's on the drums on Ballroom Dancing as well. But put 10 points to Lucas there. 10 points.
I had to grab this. The greatest CD packaging of all time. Sorry for the people. I mean, if you're on Patreon, you get to see this packaging.
Yeah.
But how much is your Patreon? You plug.
Yeah, no. Some people pay $1. Some people pay $5. A couple people pay $20 just because they're very nice people.
Your name. He says your name. It's a good deal. You get the bricks, and then check out the inner sleeve. Bricks, little stars in the bricks. Then check this out. This is cool packaging. Change the world.
Oh, Ringy.
You gotta see the inner sleeve, though.
Oh, Ringy.
It'll be just a spread of bricks.
That's so lazy.
Then you get lyrics, but there's bricks on them. This man just loves his bricks.
Yeah, he's just another brick in the wall. He really is.
But it's the same type of mugshot thing from Stop and Smell the Roses.
It is actually. He's got more hair on Change the World than Stop and Smell the Roses somehow.
40 years later. Okay, Pipes of Peace.
Yeah, so we have Ballroom Dancing, and then on Pipes of Peace we have So Bad.
Great song.
Yeah, interesting drumming. It's interesting that Ringo would do the drumming on So Bad 1 year, and then like 1 or 2 years later would redo the same drumming for the same song again, but he wouldn't redo.
So Bad music video is great when they're all like have their backs to each other and they're looking up and stuff. And
yeah, directed by Paul.
80s Paul songs. Wonderful side closer on Pipes of Peace.
Yeah, it's very hard for editing.
Underrated, I think. I think it's one of his best of the 80s. Maybe not.
Yeah. There didn't seem to be there wasn't as much hype around Ringo appearing on Pipes of Peace as Tug of War.
Because he was just on the last album, I think.
Yeah, just I guess the novelty of such a pairing doesn't.
Some of the songs the same session, and like Keep Undercover was recorded like right after Ballroom Dancing or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like Denny Lane's on half that album. He's just hanging out. That's why the stuff's on Wingspan.
That makes sense. Then we come to the Broad Street sessions. the songs that Ringo appears on, according to the Paul McCartney Project anyway, is Be Wanderlust, So Bad, Not Such a Bad Boy, and No Values.
Yeah, and Not Such a Bad Boy, No Values from the, what was that session where they're in like a garage?
Warehouse.
And out, and Steve Lukather is there, Ringo's future bandmate, and also the guy who got COVID. No offense. Still love to have you on my show. Tell me about Ringo's new EP.
He's not such a bad boy, but he also has no values. Yeah.
At all.
Ringo's great in that movie, though. I love it during the Eleanor's Dream sequence where he's dressed up in all Victorian.
That was Paul. I feel like that scene is Paul. Too much indulgence. I was like, I want to be in 1900s Victorian Europe.
Yeah, I love it. I love the whole.
I'll be rowing a boat across a stream.
I'm going to go over the edge. Yeah. I've always had a soft spot for Eleanor's Dream. I really have. I think it's
nice. Well, Ringo doesn't drum on it, though.
Yeah.
Not even a single drum in that song.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Ringo on that one. So we will instead move to Angel in Disguise, a song that isn't even a song.
My name is Richie, let me look into your eyes. Don't be afraid, I'm just an angel in disguise. I see into the future, you won't have to wait. I can fit you in. I can see you now. I can see you now. And I promise you I've never seen a better looking woman before. Yeah, I promise you I've never seen a better looking woman. Promise you I've never seen a better looking woman. Promise me you've never met an angel in disguise.
This is a song that was co-written by McCartney and Ringo Starr that was never released. It was meant for Ringo's album from 1992 called Time Takes Time, which is a terrible album title.
I was going to say terrible album.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's his best album, Time Takes Time.
Really?
That's my favorite from him. That and Vertical Man are pretty much tied. They're better than the Ringo album.
I know that Time Takes Time did get a lot of critical appraisal, even though it didn't sell.
Jellyfish are on it. It's a very good album.
Mm.
Oh, you talk about Ringo didn't we talk about Ringo not knowing the right songs to choose? His albums or whatever, he was choosing the wrong songs.
Okay. Is that a common trope with him?
Wrote 5 songs for Ringo Time Takes Time. I've talked with Roger Manning of Jellyfish about this.
Mm.
And they wrote a really good song for him called Long Time Ago. A lot of good stuff they wrote. But Ringo chose like I Don't Believe You, which is like a safe, like Rubber Soul era song, like a Beatles for Sale track. A Beatles 64 track, to quote Rusty.
Rusty. But this would have been the first Ringo McCartney collab, or at least since like Flying, which is one that they're all
or like whatever. Dig It. With the compositional input on Dig It.
Now, it's not like we haven't heard any of this song, but all we really have is the demo that was leaked.
1 minute of demo.
Yeah, and it's done the rounds on like Sirius XM and stuff on like Beatle networks and stuff. When speaking about the song in Beatle Fan magazine in 1992, Ringo stated the following: "You see, they expected that because it's McCartney and Starr that anyone in their right mind would put it on, but it just didn't fit the space that we needed on the album. This is my best shot, in my opinion, of my best album." And then in 2020, the cassette tape of 2 versions of Angel in Disguise was auctioned. One's a rough mix with vocals sung by McCartney. Another is one with Ringo Starr vocals. I don't think we've heard that version, have we?
We've heard the Ringo version. And there's also Everyone Wins. It's just on that cassette for some reason. We have that.
Okay.
Time outtake.
And the cassette tape was actually owned by Radio Luxembourg DJ Tony Prince at the time in the 90s.
Luxy. Heard on Luxy.
Put it on Luxy. Yeah, great little Denny Lane song that is. Apparently they wanted different artists to record the song after Ringo Starr rejected it. Though, imagine recording a song that Ringo rejected. Like, I don't know. I don't know how much street cred you get for that.
He's probably trying to like shop it around to like rappers or something. It's got a bit of a rap beat to it. It's weird.
Yeah, it's very.
What if he put it on Off the Ground? That would have been weird.
No, but I mean, if you're not going to include When Winter Comes on Off the Ground, you're not including Angels in Disguise. I mean,
I think the When Winter Comes, Great Day, Calico Skies, I think they just missed the boat for Off the Ground by a little bit. And he wanted Off the Ground to be his band album.
Yeah.
We're all hanging out. Blair Cunningham's on the drums, got the bass, got the harmonies, you know.
Totally. I guess Angel in Disguise is like the carnival of light of solo Ringo in many ways.
We have
not the whole thing, though. The whole thing.
Well, the real Carnival of Light of Ringo is a song called "Fox on Football" from the Vertical Man sessions,
right?
Which may or may not have evolved into the song "I Was Walking."
Okay.
It's in copyright. It was registered for. It was a copyright registry from 1998.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Onto the song itself. This is Macca doing a clearly non-serious throwaway tune for his friend. Again, like Paul's doing Flowers in the Dirt around this time. Off the Ground was coming up as well. He's at the height of his powers. And yeah, he just dashes off another forgettable kind of nothing of a song. At least it seems more suitable for Ringo's range and style. But maybe Ringo was right not to include it on the album. Though the only point of note for me really is that the lyrics contain the phrase, "My name is Richie," rather than Ringo. Also, there's like weird like Christian imagery, like "Don't be afraid, I'm an angel in disguise." Because of course, whenever an angel appears in the Bible, the first thing they always say is, "Don't be afraid." But then, this doesn't make the song more interesting, just the trivia surrounding it, I guess.
Weird song.
Next up, we have all of the Flaming Pie stuff. We have Really Love You, Beautiful Night, and Looking for You.
I thought I saw your shadow in an old doorway, but when I looked again, I thought I made a big mistake. It was someone else who looked a little like you. But now I know, ain't no one like you. I'll tell you why I know, baby. Hey, 'cause I'm looking for you. Looking for you. Yeah, I'm looking for you. That's all I do, that's all, I'm looking for you. Looking for you.
Hey, we got some... Yep. Got some
Looking for
CDs.
You on the flip of this World Tonight CD single.
Of course.
This Flaming Pie first press and then the double CD. It's weird that the track listing's printed on the steel.
That's weird.
I
What's up with that? Oh.
only bought this because I didn't want to spend $150 in the archive.
What's your favourite out of these three? What's your go-to Flaming Pie era Ringo song?
I mean, well, Beautiful Night's Beautiful Night.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Looking for You more than I like Really Love You.
Yeah. Look of You is probably the song that should have gone on the final album, and Really Love You should have been the bonus one.
Because it sounds too much like Used to Be Bad. It's another blues jam.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Paul was just really into the blues in the 90s.
I used to be bad, but I don't feel so bad no more. But just Paul's vocal.
That's the weakest track on Flaming Pie. It's like he made this really good album, then he put some blues jams on it because he needed 14 songs.
Yeah, to fill up the modern CDs, yeah.
Well, no, because he wanted to fit 14-song Beatles thing.
Oh, right.
14 songs.
Yeah. But it doesn't work when you're releasing like 6 minutes, 7 minute
You
long
could have
songs.
switched out the outtakes. I mean, you could have put Broomstick in for Used to Be Bad because Broomstick's really nice.
Broomstick's okay. It's all right. Never been that much.
Another
fun.
jam.
Honestly, with Looking For You, I just love Paul's vocal on it. And it's
Big
got that
screamy vocal.
Yeah, it's got like a gated.
Be able to do those screamy vocals for that much longer.
Yeah, looking for you. That gated reverb and that echo. Love that shit. Really love you.
Gated reverb, maybe just like that, like echo pedal thing. Bit of a gated reverb would like.
Really love you. Kind of just very forgettable. But Beautiful Night. The moment Ringo comes in at the end there with the coda.
It's 6 o'clock. It reminds me of 6 o'clock.
There's no better example of Beatle nostalgia, I'd say. I think it's the best example of it.
Yeah. And there is like video, it's like there's all of these 90s European street kids are like jamming out and Ringo's just like there. And Linda's in the telephone booth and it's a weird video. And then they go into like then the protagonist, the boy, they go into like the lake at the end and it's like shining and I don't know what Paul was up to with that video. It seemed like it was more that Broad Street era Paul ideas.
All right, folks, after the stint of McCartney songs that I've already recently covered on Paul, and I think go back and check out those episodes. Passing, we have some more Ringo material, this time from the 1997 album Vertical Man, a.k.a. Yeah, it's like his flaming pie. It's his attempt to capitalise off the success of the anthology. The first
little late.
Sorry? A little late.
He was late.
Yeah.
98.
Yeah, could have come out probably a year earlier, but hey.
It was going to come out in 97, but they had some, like, the label that he was going to put it out on went out of business.
Oh, wow. That's a bit of an issue.
They got as far as the promo CD on the old label, and then the label went out of business.
Oh, yeah, 1998, yeah. No, I'm sorry, I said 1997 earlier. You are entirely correct. Oh, Ringo did a VH1 Storytellers. I've got to listen to that.
The VHS tape of Storytellers was kind of rare. It's hard to find.
With the Fresno community, I was walking, don't pass by back up. There's a lot of good songs on this, actually.
I mean, he does like half the songs from Vertical Man.
So yeah, we're going to talk about What in the World, and it sounds a bit like this.
Remembered it all, that magical moment I'll never forget. We started to fall higher and higher in love than I thought I could get. It was so hard to find someone, and then I found you. What in the world would I do, living in a world without you? Me and the sky would be blue, bluer than I ever knew. The sun will shine, but there'll be no...
What in the world?
What in the ... world? Ellipses. So yeah, on December 29th, 1997, Ringo, along with engineer Jeff Emmerich and producer Mark Hudson, headed over to McCartney's home studio at Hog Hill Mill to work out the album. They worked on 3 songs from this period. There was the one we're talking about now, La Di Da and I Was Walking. McCartney's bass track for What in the ... world replaced the placeholder bass track from the previous July session. And upon hearing the playback of the track, McCartney apparently remarked, "Woo, Rich, sounds kind of Beatlish." To which Rich replied, "I know, that's what I said to Mark months ago." McCartney, now looking at Starr, told him, "You are a fucking Beatle." But yes, some nice post-anthology McCartney love there.
I've got a quote on Vertical Man by Ringo.
Yeah.
It's a amazing 8-word quote from Ringo. Life is life. This was just a record.
That's great.
Printed here on the inner sleeve.
Life is life. This was just a record.
A little weird-looking star.
Yeah, that's not the proper
Vertical Man art is amazing. This one doesn't have the booklet because the booklet's like in a display.
Okay.
It's got like the art is like a whole bunch of random like old internet like MS Paint art.
Yeah, Ringo was doing MS Paint
like,
art.
Ringo and like a whole bunch of other people. Like Mark Hudson did a whole bunch of it, but it's all weird. It's like Ringo's face over like pasted over like a 90s girl group or whatever and stuff like that.
Oh, I need to check that out as well. It seems like every solo Beatle fan is a strong supporter of whatever they chose to do after the post-anthology period. And so, I mean, obviously you like Time Takes Time, so would you even say that Vertical Man's a return to form, or is it just a second good album in a row?
Never return to form for Ringo. Because Time Takes Time's alright, but that was more of a put-together in the studio record. This was him working with a band.
Right.
And it was like, this really begins like the Ringo era that kind of is continuing on now, but kind of stopped after Liverpool 8, which is a train wreck of an album.
Liverpool 8? Like,
if there's any album you want to listen to by Ringo, do not listen to Liverpool 8. Like, half the songs, like, he got Dave Stewart from Eurythmics to remix it after Mark Hudson and Ringo had their falling out. Right. So Dave Stewart was like, I don't like any of these backing vocals. I'm going to put old radio sound effects on all of them.
What? Oh
so God. Half the songs are, there's a nice sounding backing track on the left, and on the right, it's in like this 78 RPM sounding thing and like robot backing vocals. Wow. It's weird. Gary Burr, who was playing with Ringo during that time, said that the original mixdowns were so good and he was so like unhappy of how it turned out.
Oh, I've got even more homework. I definitely Liverpool 8 exclusive reusable USB wristbands.
The wristband. I need to get my hands on a wristband.
It contains the entire album.
Exclusive video message from Ringo Starr.
Behind the scenes interview with Ringo. 2 brand new ringtones. And a track-by-track commentary. Oh, my God. Oh, that sounds awesome.
I know.
Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, on to What in the World.
What in the... We just did What in the World.
Oh, no, we haven't really talked about the song itself, I mean. I've got to say, this song was way heavier and aggressive and up-tempo than I was ever expecting.
Drum breaks. There's like heavy drum breaks in it.
Yeah, and just the whole thing's got like a chug to it. Comes thundering in. And this should have been the opening single, not La Di Da, in my opinion. I think people would have had
I think the opening single should have been Without Understanding.
Okay. I don't think I've heard that one.
That would have been like, just, you've heard the whole album, right?
No, I've heard most of it.
You're like, oh, you were telling me today, I love Vertical Man. You haven't heard the whole album?
I haven't heard the whole album. I've got to listen to bits.
Without Understanding is like this. It starts off with an opera singer, and it goes into like the psychedelic drum groove. It would shock radio people. It would make them want to play it. It's got Brian Wilson doing like harmonies on it.
Okay, that's cool.
It's like a crazy song, but I think that would be a nice like opening single. Just to like, I basically copied that from like a podcast where they were talking about Without Understanding. They're like, this is the single.
I mean, when the vocals first come in the song, I thought they were going to be disappointingly mellow, but then when the chorus comes in, it's legitimately catchy. It's got a hard edge to it. He does sound like reinvigorated on this album. He comes out rocking.
This first album in 6 years,
and you can tell
the promo they keep saying first album in 8 years.
Maybe they're just disregarding the last one. Who knows?
But they did. But after Time Takes Time, Ringo hadn't done an album for 9 years.
Really?
So what's the 1990 album they're talking about? It's just weird time.
Also, we just got to talk
period where Ringo's eyes go away, by the way.
Oh, it's always with the glasses now from this point.
So you like here, glasses, but on the inner sleeve, you get to see his eyes for the last time.
Oh, the classic kind of downer, sad Ringo eyes, those doe eyes. The backing vocals from Paul in this certainly have a Beatles-esque magic to it. There's a lot of gushing, shameless nostalgia, which I'm not against at all.
I don't think Paul isn't the heavy force in the backing vocals here. It's mostly Mark Hudson doing the backing vocals, but you can hear Paul at some points during the chorus, of course.
Yeah, there's a really cool at one point that Paul does in the pre-chorus. That's a nice little fun addition. And, I love the bass line. There's a proper groove to it as well. It's funny that, around this time, the hardest rocking track that Paul McCartney did in this period was on Vertical Man, not on Flaming Pie, because there aren't really many heavy rock tunes.
Yeah, what rockers were on Flaming Pie? Oh, I was going to look at the track listing, but of course.
Yeah, the pie itself.
No track listing.
Yeah, it's all just on the...
Yeah, The World Tonight is not a rocker. Yeah, Flaming Pie is a piano, that's dumb. No, there's no rockers on Flaming Pie.
Yeah, The World Tonight is as close as you get with that kind of... Now I can see the world tonight. But yeah,
Okay, I have something to say. These are archive collection booklets where they're stapled in are my worst enemy. Why do they have to staple in the booklet? Can you just give me a little booklet, like a little folder?
There must be people out there complaining that they lose the booklet, so you can't lose the booklet, I guess, maybe?
You can't lose the booklet, but sometimes the booklet might break off or something because it's just hanging on here.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes with those kind of things, they staple them in so tight that you can't open them fully, and then they get torn and shit like that. But yeah, let's press on. We're nearly there. We're going to press to play. We're on the second song on Vertical Man, and we have La Di Da.
Live my life. It's only right 'cause I can live your life for you. I'm satisfied, feeling high 'cause I found out just what to do. Oh, you can bet I never let the things I get the best of me. When I get blue, here's what I do, and so can you. It is no mystery when you sing. La, la-di-da, like hey, sirrah, sirrah, whatever, la-di-da.
This was recorded on the 20th of July at What the Studios.
That's Mark Hudson with the what, and he's talking about what in the. I think he's the one who put the dots in what in the world.
Right. Okay.
He knows about the what and the what the, and he had some sort of thing called what the. He just loves this what. He loves that word. He's weird.
It's his mantra. But the coolest thing about this song, and it reflects what Ringo called as the revolving door policy of the Vertical Man album, is that loads of people...
You had to be on La-di-da.
Sorry, again.
If you were on Vertical Man, they'd get you on La-di-da.
Oh, yeah. If you walked by, yeah, totally. On backing vocals on this song, I'm going to try and do this in one breath now. Oh. Steven Tyler, Tommy Harrison, Tina Stern, Tatiana von Furtenberg, Stuart Lerner, Steve Greenberg, Scott Gordon, Scott Brown, Sally Parks, Ronnie Grokal, Phil Leavitt, Niels Lofgren, Michael Gurley, Lee Starkey, Marjorie Rufus Isaacs, Keith Allison, Kay Harrison, Joe Kylo, Jim Cushionary, Jennifer Silver, Gene Schmidt, James Barber, Gabriella Paglia, Eric Greeley, Eric Gardner, Elizabeth Parks, Doug Feiger, Dawn Honey, Daniel Lanos, Christopher Grokal, Bruce Grokal, Blake Brown, and Astrid Barber. I definitely took a few cheeky breaths there. That's a lot of backing vocalists, none of which... Oh yeah, and Paul McCartney. None of which you can really make out at all. But yeah, this is, in true classic Paul or Nothing fashion, this is one of those songs that I feel has more interesting trivia than value as a song itself. How would you describe this song? What are your thoughts?
It's a sing-along, it's a single. Mm-hmm. I mean, a hit. I don't know if you can call it a hit.
It's top 75, was it? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if it was on Billboard.
Yeah, it's a hit technically.
Just with the singles.
I don't know if I don't think "Find My Way" charted at all. He gets number one albums, but singles.
But that doesn't really count. Like the singles is where it's at because that's where the actual streaming comes in.
Yeah. No.
He had a number one in the 90s, but since Hope of Deliverance, kind of been trailing off.
Hope of Deliverance wasn't number one, was it? I don't believe it was.
In like a lot of countries.
Oh yeah, in like Germany.
I think that's cool because it's an off the ground song that was a number one.
Look, as we all know, as Beatles podcasters, the only countries that matter are the UK and America because that's all that ever gets written about. It's the state of Beatles media, sadly. But yeah, I'm sure this made it like number 63 or something like.
Yeah, got the single here.
That's cool. The La-Di-Da single.
It's got the album version, 541.
Okay.
It runs 550, but the album version itself is 541, so it has an extra 9 seconds.
Woohoo.
That's an extended version. That's a remix.
There's a quote here that I didn't see when I was researching before. Ringo, on the choice of remaking Love Me Do, he said, "I've always loved that song. I didn't get to play on the first one in '62. I'll show the bastards."
He did get to play on he played on the one that wasn't for the one for the album.
Yeah, the one that
still on tambourine on the Andy White and drums version too.
La-Di-Da, how did that do?
I'm guessing 63. I think that was pretty close. Way of the World was 74.
Okay, doesn't show the single charts. The album itself made to 61 and number 85 in the UK, only selling just more than 2,000 copies. Ooh, oh dear, that's a shame. The song itself, though, I don't mean to come across as immediately negative. I just kind of feel like this one let me down a little. I really enjoyed the first track that we just discussed. I was kind of hoping that energy and that grit would be carried over here, and it just wasn't. You know, the contrast is very drastic. I feel like it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And it did cement in my mind the notion that Ringo will always go back to these kind of songs. You know, that kind of goofy classic Ringo feel. It's shamelessly upbeat. It's got the positive.
I've got charts.
Yeah. Oh, go on.
Number 63.
Yes! I knew I got it right. I knew I did.
Way of the World did go to 74.
Oh, okay.
I think Liverpool 8 went to 99. Yep, I'm correct. 99.
God damn. These Beatle fans here, kids, you know.
Oh, wow. Here's Some Nights went to 85 in Belgium.
Belgium! Go on, Belgians! Yes, lads.
He had a number one in 2009 because he was part of the official BBC Children in Need medley. He was on backing vocals. So that technically is a number one.
That's interesting. Something that Ringo does in La-Di-Da is one of my big pet peeves. You know when like a bad movie references a good movie, or you've got a bad movie with the good movie's poster in the background, like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Did he reference the Beatles or something?
No, he references Que Sera Sera.
Well, he rhymes with La-Di-Da.
Yeah, but don't remind me of a better song in the middle of your mediocre song. I feel like it's a real no-no. It's a no-no song. It's a no-no song. Don't ever do that. Rather hilariously as well, in the video for this song, Ringo is spinning an umbrella, which is shockingly similar to McCartney's first version of the World Tonight music video, which also has him spinning an umbrella.
They even did 2 versions of the music videos back then.
Yeah.
Everything had 2 versions.
Yeah, that's so funny. Just, Paul, I want to spin an umbrella. George, can you spin the umbrella for me?
George is non-La-Di-Da.
George isn't on La-Di-Da.
Only guy from the Vertical Man sessions non-La-Di-Da.
Oh, is
the stuff was sent in by mail.
Is George on this album at all? Then
he's on King of Broken Hearts and I'll Be Fine Everywhere. I'll Be Fine Anywhere. He did slide guitar solos on both of them.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
You get all the Beatles together again.
Yeah, Ringo could always pull everyone together. He was that kind of guy. Now, without me sounding like a complete idiot, am I the only one that cannot make out McCartney at all on this track? Are there other versions of this?
In the chorus, he goes, you can hear the,
oh, okay. Okay. Look, I don't have an ear for this sort of thing, but when I've got a Beatle on another Beatles track, I want it in your face. I want it really obvious that these guys are collaborating. The song. Sorry?
We skipped the song that Paul's on.
Which one?
I Was Walking.
Oh, no, that's my next one in the notes. Don't worry. And with our next song, we're going to conclude our trio of Vertical Man tunes. This one's called I Was Walking.
I was talking to myself last night. I was dancing, yeah, I was dancing. I was dancing by myself last night. My occupation is syncopation, and when I hit him, well, it saves my life. Hey! A sinner, I've been a winner. My life is better than a roll of the dice.
Yeah, annoyingly on the Paul McCartney project, there are no notes on the Vertical Man stuff, but
I don't have my booklet with me because this is the one about the booklet, but I'll go off my knowledge. This is my this is like a theory of mine, but I think this is Fox on Football,
right?
Because the same syllables in Fox on Football are in I Was Walking.
Okay.
And it's the only song that shares the same group of co-writers.
That's interesting.
So I think that is a placeholder name. But
yeah, because it says here on the Wikipedia that sometimes has a riff taken from Crying from Road to Gravure as well. So yeah, Ringo's not opposed to borrowing stuff from his previous albums and kind of.
Well, I think that was just like an early title for the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but
they need copyright registries.
What's interesting about this song for me, though, is that you have Steven Tyler of Aerosmith doing the harmonica for this song, as well as some backing vocals. Yeah, it's weird though, because Aerosmith had a huge comeback resurgence in the early 90s, right the way through to the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe Steve Tyler's a bit.
A lead vocal on this album that was cut at the last minute.
Oh, really? He was going to have a lead vocal.
Drift Away. There's a version, I have it, of him doing the second verse.
Oh, wow.
He's on like harmonica or whatever and does scat singing at the end of Drift Away, but he's on there.
So like,
because him and Mark Hudson are best friends.
Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mark Hudson wrote Living on the Edge, which is his claim to fame.
He wrote Living on the Edge. Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much today.
Well, he wrote the first verses, but it's like a John Lennon thing. There's a whole bunch of interviews where he talks about it. Steven Tyler was screaming, saying John Lennon's in the room.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The song was inspired by the 1992 LA riots. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, on to the song itself. Where do you rank this amongst the three Vertical Man tunes we've spoken about?
Check Paul's not on the best songs on Vertical Man. He's not like hanging out. He's not on like that great of songs. But this is all right. He didn't like. It's a nice little rocking tune.
For me, it's kind of in between the two that we've just spoken about. It's got the kind of same heavy arrangement and enthusiastic energy from What in the World.
Nice harmonies.
Yes. But the overall melody and vocal performance from Ringo is the same kind of formulaic, retro uninventiveness that we've seen a lot. I would say that La Di Da, as kind of flawed as it is still more memorable than this. You know, still as an album track for this period, it's totally serviceable. And I don't think I'd find myself skipping it. It's still got that Vertical Man sound that I really do enjoy. There's also one fun segment where he kind of just goes buck wild with like these sound effects, and you get these like Python-esque goon show silly vocals. And they even mentioned 6 o'clock, which is a great little nod, which, definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that's Mark Hudson again with his little crazy stuff he likes to throw in the songs. And I'm surprised he didn't call the album What The. And then some dots, get some dots in there.
It's weird, though, that the female backing vocalist is far more prominent and noticeable than Paul's. Like, again, this is another one where if I didn't know that Paul
female
was...
backing vocalist, don't quote me on this, that might be Alanis Morissette.
What the fuck? Oh, my gosh. Let's go back.
On Drift Away, on the song Drift Away, which Steven Tyler was slated to appear on, Alanis Morissette does the third verse.
Yes, she does. Fucking hell. Alanis Morissette. Okay, so she could be on that as well. Oh, George Martin does the string arrangement on the final track on
I'm Yours, yeah.
Yeah, she's way more prominent in this track than Paul is. Like, if you didn't tell me that Paul was in this song, I wouldn't have guessed it.
I think he plays bass or something.
Let's go on Paul McCartney Project. I Was Walking. Man,
actually, he may just be on backing vocals. I don't know if he's on it.
Yeah, it says Paul McCartney backing vocals, and then doesn't even say. And then Mark Hudson was on bass.
Yeah, Mark Hudson's always on the bass.
Now let's get onto another song with "Walk" in the title, as we skip over a decade of content to.
Is there nothing for that decade? I guess there is nothing.
Yeah, strange, isn't it? We have Walk With You.
Understanding every potion show, just as fundamental as the stars above. 'Tis benefiting every hand in glove. And you tell me it's a cold day in hell when you surrender for love and the chance to remember. What we have to hold is more silver and gold. When I walk with you, when I talk with you, everything will be fine. When I walk with you, when I talk with you, everything will be fine.
Walk With You is a song from Ringo's 2010 album Why Not. Paul appears on the backing vocal and the chorus, though it was cited as a duet, which would make the first ever duet between the two of them. It was not originally conceived as a collaboration with McCartney, who was only going to appear on Peace Stream. When speaking about this chance appearance in 2009, Ringo said, Paul was doing the Grammys, so he came over to the house and was playing bass on Peace Stream. So I played him this other track, Walk With You, and Paul said, give me the headphones, give me a pair of cans. And he went to the mic and just invented that part where he follows on my vocal. That was all Paul McCartney, and there could be nothing better. He makes it bigger and makes it fuller. He makes the song like a conversation between us, and that was Paul's idea to put his one beat behind me. That's why he's a genius and an incredible bass player. Dude, rather than me wanting to hear your thoughts because I'm about to savage a song, I want to hear your thoughts because shockingly I'm about to praise the fuck out of it. Please tell me about Walk With You.
It's a Ringo Van Dyke Parks collaboration. Their collaboration is always fun. But yeah, Paul comes in with that. It's very sweet, when you think about all the history between these two guys and stuff. And now they're all like 70. It's a nice song. Why not on an album, though, as an album? This is the serious step down for Ringo.
Oh, okay.
You have all this Vertical Man, Ringorama, all these like great albums, and then there's just a big step down. You get like Why Not and Ringo 2012. And
It's a shame.
this is when he starts doing 10 songs an album.
Oh, okay. So there's even less effort.
It goes from 12, 13 songs to 10. That's where the enthusiasm kind of drops.
And now we have 4 or 5 per EP.
Yeah. 5 if we're lucky.
I gotta say, this song kind of turned things around for me. You know, the last 2 songs were kind of meh, and then suddenly I come across this, and I was full of wonderful Beatles nostalgia again. I was actually feeling emotion. You know, a latter era Ringo Starr song actually made me feel something. I'm as surprised as you are. The vocal from Paul is exactly what I'd want from a McCartney backing vocal on a Ringo record. You know, it almost feels like he's trying to do it right this time around and have McCartney feature prominently on a track. And, you know, you're right, you can't ignore the fact that a lot of the power of this song is generated from the fact that Paul and Ringo are both old men by this point. You know, they've been working for over 40 years. And, you know, you can't not get emotional when they start singing about that history. I mean, it could have been about Barbara or generic love song figure, but the moment it becomes a duet between the two of them, the meaning's been 100% changed. And now it's about the passage of time and how friendships grow and change, and the importance of choosing the best people to, quote-unquote, walk with you. And it's even more emotional when you consider the fact that John and George aren't there to walk with them. Yeah, this is just another song for me that proves that McCartney, at least in this latter period, is better as a collaborator than someone just to write songs for him.
Okay, a bit of comedy here. So there's a Paul McCartney live album where Ringo's on every song.
What?
He's on Amoeba Gig.
Oh, what? Okay, I actually haven't gotten up to
in the crowd. So that means every time there's a clap, that's Ringo on hand claps.
Oh my gosh.
He was clapping.
Ringo's in the crowd at the Amoeba Gig? I did not know this.
I can Google this, but I remember him. I think they called him up to play and he didn't do it.
Millions of people were not luckier than the few hundred rubbing elbows with the likes of Ringo Starr and Woody Harrelson during the once-in-a-lifetime in-store set. Yeah, Ringo was there.
He was at the Amoeba Gig.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see him in this crowd shot. There's a crowd shot of the Amoeba Gig, but he's sure in there somewhere. Wouldn't it be funny if he didn't stay for the whole show?
I really don't like Only Mama Knows. I don't like that one. Paul, stop playing House of Wax. Stop playing Nod Your Head.
That was an amazing show. You do Sea Moon and House of Wax in the same show.
Also, like Paul doing Matchbox instead of Ringo is quite funny as well.
Flaming Pie.
Memory Almost Full, or all this stuff.
Well, he doesn't need to do Calico Skies.
Maybe in the
he does Calico Skies.
Calico Skies, just again, folks.
Babyface, yeah, it's the opener on side B on the album, on the record.
Calico Skies, there we are. Yeah.
No Wicks on the Amoeba Gig though, so no Ringo Wicks collab. We've been waiting.
Everyone's been waiting with bated breath, definitely. Next up, we have Peace Dream. Another bass one. This song sounds like something that Lennon might have written for Richie in the mid-70s, but it's actually written by Gary White and Gary Nicholson, the two Garys, one of his many collaborators. And I'm running out of new ways to ask you to defend these Ringo songs, so I'm just going to say...
I haven't heard Peace Dream in a long time. It's just like, the one thing I remember from it is he name drops John Lennon.
Yes, so folks...
Like John Lennon said in Amsterdam from his bed.
Yeah.
He also keeps saying, "Can you imagine?" in the song.
Yeah. So try to imagine if we give peace a chance, all the world could be living in harmony. And just like John Lennon said in Amsterdam from his bed, one day the world will wake up and see the reality. Yeah, this might be the song with the worst lyrics that we've encountered today. I mean, not only is the title the most trite derivative Ringo thing we could ever have come up with, but the whole peace and love thing's kind of been done to death. It's also something that John...
Ringo's fault. He didn't write Peace Dream.
Oh, yeah, no, but...
He has a writing credit on it.
No, but he chose to still sing it, and it's like, come on.
Oh, he has a writing credit on every song on Why Not? That's nice.
Oh, okay. So he still gets a bit of cash from that.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a spin on like Number 9 Dream. Like it just feels like he's aping John unnecessarily. The song's generic enough as a Ringo peace and love pastiche, but when you have lines like that, yeah, it's a bit like la-di-da. Ringo should not be reminding us of a better singer-songwriter. And the whole thing just becomes impossible to take seriously. I mean, think of the songs that Paul or George wrote about either John or the Beatles and then compare it to this. And, it's chalk and cheese, isn't it? It is unfair to compare Richie to the other lads, but I don't even know why he selected this one as being appropriate or even bothered with the attempt.
He had to write 10 songs. He's like, this is a song.
It's a song. It'll go on the album.
Paul McCartney's on it.
It just annoyed me. It really annoyed me. Then we're going to move forward to the 2017 album, Give More Love.
Which I don't own.
Oh, we don't own Give More Love. Interesting. We have a gap, folks.
I don't need Give More Love. I heard Ultra on that. It's got the rocking one.
Yes.
Speed of Sound. That's just some sort of rocker. That's just a Wings album name.
Yeah, there's lots of remakes on this one as well. You got a remake of Back Off Boogaloo, Don't Pass Me By, You Can't Fight Lightning, which we talked about earlier, and Photograph. But
that's still a remakes EP that he has tacked on to the end.
The song we're talking about, though, is called We're on the Road Again.
This morning, packed my bags, headed for the studio to finish this track. A lot going on and a lot to do. We gotta get it done cause we ain't coming back. We still got a lot of playing to do. Playing guitars and the drums for you. We play really tight, we play really loud. We're gonna kick ass in front of the crowd. We're gonna play some rock and roll, that's true.
Never played this live.
Interesting. I would have thought he would have.
I know, it's such a live song. It's like, we're playing live.
We're on the road again. We're definitely in the modern Ringo era with this kind of song. And, is this up your alley, or are you starting...
Photograph.
Oh, really?
Telling stories, having a laugh, singing my song, Photograph.
Oh no, what an awful lyric. I didn't even pick up on that. I was mostly just listening to the rhythm, I guess. In this era, are you starting to check out and look back at the good old days, or is this still up your alley?
Okay, I think really after Liverpool 8, it's like, Ringo, I don't need to hear this anymore.
It's a bit on autopilot now.
Yeah, but there's some good tracks. Like on Ringo 2012, there's a song called Samba. Some sort of Van Dyke Parks, kaleidoscope music. It's interesting.
I don't mind
some alright songs, but Give More Love. I mean, he was gonna do a country album. He went with the guy who remixed Liverpool 8 to Nashville, and they were gonna do a country. And they're like, no, let's just leave. And 2 songs from the country album made it to Give More Love.
I think they're doing a proper country album again. That could be interesting.
With originals. Oh, no way. Who's his originals?
Yes.
Well, I guess not really originals, because Ringo doesn't have co-writing credit on half the songs. Except for Nashville Jam, which he's got a credit on because he plays drums.
With this one, with We're on the Road Again, I feel like it kind of had some of that Vertical Man energy, kind of bopping along to the rhythm, enjoying the fast pace of the track. After all these ballads, I'm just glad that Ringo's doing a proper rocker, and for what it's worth, it was somewhat enjoyable. Though I think a lot of that is down to the fact that after a while, Ringo just stops singing and lets his tight, far more talented set of backing musicians just take over and do the song properly. There's also a lot of screaming in it. About halfway through, Ringo said, "I didn't ask Paul or the others on the song to scream. They just did. Like Paul, Edgar Winter and Joe Walsh at the end. They all went off and rocked. Real rock and roll and screams just go together." And then we come to Paul's inclusion or lack of inclusion. Once again, I'm asking myself why Ringo isn't allowing Paul to have more prominent vocals on any of these tracks. I mean, all I really heard was one of the shouts about 3 minutes in. That was distinctively Paul, and that's it.
But like at the end, it was there's this little shouting thing.
There was a nice little bass flourish as well that I didn't quite enjoy. It's not like a bass solo or anything, but it's just a bit of a
that type of thing.
Yeah, and you just know it's Paul. It just sounds totally Macca. Do you think it's Ringo asking for Paul to be lower in these mixes, or is it his collaborators and producers making sure that Ringo's in the spotlight, perhaps?
Well, this is the Paul McCartney album. It's the Ringo Starr album.
I know, but what's the point in bringing in Paul if you're not going to do something worth it?
What if on Pipes of Peace you couldn't hear Paul's vocal on so bad you could hear?
No, but like, think about how prominent Ringo is on Beautiful Night, for example. You know, Ringo's definitely a presence there, and he's the thing you're listening to. You know, he's the best part of the end of that song.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just that whoever mixed this, Bruce Sugar, who I've talked to.
Okay.
So he's like, but I guess he just doesn't want. He wants to make sure Ringo's there.
Yeah.
It took him 10 years to be Ringo's producer, by the way. It took him 15 years. He started working at Ringo in 2003. It took him 16 years to be known as producer.
So was he just doing like engineering work and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, because Ringo didn't want to have another producer after Mark Hudson. Because he didn't like produce their thing. And so it took, I forget his name, Bruce Sugar, like 16 years to be Ringo's producer.
Bloody hell. That's dedication. There's a funny quote about the Give More Love sessions that I just wanted to read out.
Wow, the Give More Love sessions. There were sessions.
Oh, so this is from Bruce Sugar, actually. I think Paul was initially taken aback by what Lukather wrote. It's a little more sophisticated than some stuff Ringo's done in the past. I think Paul was looking at it and listening to it. He doesn't read charts. He has his own notation. I've brought that up to Ringo. I can't believe Paul doesn't read charts. He goes, we're all buskers. They just played all by ear. Would you say that the material on Give More Love is more sophisticated than what Ringo had done before?
Okay. Is Give More Love more sophisticated than Postcards from Paradise? I mean, I guess, but if you go back to like the Mark Hudson stuff, it's not as sophisticated as that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess sophisticated.
Yeah, it's a very weird term.
It's not like he's like doing some sort of like suit, like he's in a suit, like singing some sort of ballad. Not that type of sophisticated. It's not like some sort of Dean Martin album.
Well,
still a rock and roll album.
With the next song, it does get a little fancier, I guess. With
Show Me the Way.
Show Me the Way.
Another day with you.
Not Show Me the Way to Go Home from Jaws. You know, as we've seen, when Richie gets pulled down, he's always on for at least 2 songs, never just one. And for me, this song is a prime example of how latter era Ringo is totally just being propped up by the deft musicianship of other players. I know that's probably again quite a trite point, but Ringo does not offer me anything in this slow tempo ballad. But I did rather like that rolling piano and keyboard, like dueling melody. It's quite angelic and peaceful in its own way. And then you get that soaring guitar you get towards the end of the song. But unlike We're on the Road Again, that slower tempo just brings the track to a complete halt for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the players can only do so much to mask the fact that Ringo just isn't...
Paul McCartney on bass here, but you can barely even hear him.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do to mask that Ringo isn't really good at this shtick, or at least anymore. I mean, you kind of can hear the bass on this. It's not completely buried. And whilst it's not the most complex or revolutionary bass line, at least you can tell that it is Paul. He gets to do those kind of McCartneyisms and flexes again, just to let you know it's him. But, you know, I don't really have much to say outside of it's Ringo letting Paul be Paul. When speaking about these sessions, Ringo said in the track-by-track preview, I really wanted Paul to play bass on this track because it's an important track to me because of the expression to Barbara. And Paul said, yes. For me, it's still the most melodic, incredible bass... For me, he's still the most melodic, incredible bass player. Paul plays every note great. And yes, we have some history and chemistry that also comes into play. I'd love someone with a big, great voice like Celine Dion to sing this song because I love it and it's important to me. But until then, I'll have to do... Oh, God, imagine this on the Titanic soundtrack. The ship would sink even quicker, wouldn't it? Oh, my word. Yeah. Ringo, I love you, man. You're an idol, but...
This is definitely the most boring song we've come to.
Arguably one of the most boring songs, yeah, easily. And then we come to another faux Beatle reunion for the 2019 album, What's My Name? So this came from Jack Douglas showing Ringo the Bermuda tapes, the kind of leftover songs that were worked on during the anthology project. Douglas was the producer on the Double Fantasy album for Lennon. Of course, Ringo would have been aware of Free as a Bird, Real Love, as well as Now and Then, but Ringo hadn't heard of Grow Old With Me.
Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be. When our time has come, we will be as one. God bless our love. God bless our love.
He said, Jack asked if I ever heard the Bermuda tapes, John's demos from that time, and I'd heard none of all this. The idea that John was talking to me in that time before he died, well, I'm an emotional person and I just love this song. I sang it the best I could. I do well up when I'm thinking of John this deeply, and I've done my best. We've done our best. The other good thing is that Paul really wanted to play bass on it, and he said yes. So Paul came over and played bass and sings a little bit on it with me. So John's on it in a way, I'm on it, and Paul's on it. It's not a publicity stunt, this is just what I wanted. And the strings that Jack had arranged for us, if you really listen, they do one line from Here Comes the Sun. So in a way, it's all four of us. Does this one hit you?
Here Comes the Sun thing is weird.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. I listened to it a few times.
I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
I heard it when it came out, I did not hear the Here Comes the Sun.
Does this one hit you right in the feels? Are you nostalgic and teary-eyed, or is this one a bit like Paul duetting with John on the latest tour, just a kind of gimmicky kind of song?
I think if they'd actually gotten the tape and they had put John up to it, I think that would have been better.
Yeah.
But it's still heartfelt. It's a nice rendition, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Off of you, Bane.
It's definitely a lot better than Peace Dream in terms of Lennon tributes. Again, kind of found it inoffensive and so-so, but it did kind of shock me how boring the composition was. And so I went back and listened to the Lennon original, and yeah, immediately, even with the demo quality production, the fact that it's being sung by Lennon.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Yeah, with that simple piano accompaniment allows the strength of the melody and the song itself to shine. Overall, I know that this is the best that an older Ringo could have done, but again, I question his decision making. Why has he done this? Why has he bothered to approach such an obviously Lennon-esque song? The vocals are totally outside of his comfort zone, and I kind of wish he hadn't have bothered. I mean, they probably thought he was going to have the same emotional currency as like Walk With You, but it's done so poorly that it just belies any of that. Again, like the inclusion of Paul playing bass here just feels like a publicity stunt in exact contrast to what Ringo said. At least Paul's bass is high up in the mix with this one. It felt very Beatle-esque, which was very enjoyable. But outside of that, this is a weird curiosity from the Ringo catalogue for me, I must admit.
I think they should have gone all in and gotten the upper Beatles on it, I feel like, for real. They should have gotten at least, like, George probably has 1,000 slide guitar solos in the vault. They could have just given a little bit of that, and then they could have synced it up to the demo, and that would have been nice.
Yeah, maybe get George or Giles on it as well.
Well, George had passed by this time.
Giles. Yeah, just something to give it a bit more.
Well, George recorded strings for Grow Old With Me in the 90s. He did the Lennon Anthology version with the string arrangement and all that.
Oh, they actually did work on it then during the anthology period. Then.
No, I mean the Lennon Anthology.
Oh, right.
There's that version of the Lennon Anthology with the strings.
Why did they use that? That would have been interesting. Yeah.
They could have sang along to that, and they could have gotten just a little bit of that George in there.
Oh, well. Look, finally, everyone, after an exhaustive exploration into Sir Starkey and Sir McCartney, we have their latest recording together, which is Here's to the Nights.
Here's to falling on your face, getting back up and winning the race. Here's to taking it to extremes, never losing faith in our crazy dreams. Here's to having no fear. Here's to right now, right here. Here's to the nights we won't remember, with the friends we won't forget. May we think of them forever as the days that were the best. May we make some noise together, make a beautiful
Number 85 in Belgium.
This was the lead single off Ringo's 2020 EP, Zoom In, Zoom Out. The EP that he created during COVID and was meant, as a little pick-me-up for the fans who were stuck in lockdown. A lovely idea, maybe not that well executed.
I never noted on What's My Name. On the cover of What's My Name, I don't know if you can make this out, there's a stamp on Ringo's shirt.
Yeah.
That stamp is John Lennon.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It's like the John Lennon stamps that came out a few years ago. So John's on the cover.
I think that's nicer than the song Grow Old With Me, to be fair.
Well, I don't know. This is more of I feel like this is more of a peace dream. Well, like John Lennon exists type thing.
But yeah, with Here's to the Nights, Ringo's not the main selling point of the track. It's not the quality of the song or anything normal like that, but instead it's just guest stars. It's like modern day Simpsons. It's just about the guest stars. And with a little more than help from his friends, we have the following backing vocalists. We have Paul McCartney, Dave Grohl, Joe Walsh, Johnny Lewis, Sheryl Crow, Lenny Kravitz, Chris Stapleton, Yola, Ben Harper, Phineas O'Connell, Eric Burdon, Corinne Bailey Ray, and Phineas. Just someone just called Phineas. Is that the same person?
That's the guy from Billie Eilish.
Yeah. A whole lot of people singing on
There's
this
actually
one.
people in common with La Di Da.
Yeah.
There are backing vocalists who are in common with that backing vocal group.
No, so it's a reunion of one of my least favourite songs.
Paul.
Yeah.
Joe Walsh is Josh and Paul are the two people.
I actually saw Corinne Bailey Ray a few years ago, actually, when I saw Stevie Wonder. Great singer, absolutely awesome. Strange that she's on this track, I must admit. Lucas, this is the last song of the day and your last opportunity to change my mind on these latter-day Ringo songs, so please take it away with Here's to the Night. What do you think?
Here's to the Night is a ballad, and it's like his New Year's song. It's like here's the new year. And I know you like Paul's contributions being boosted in the mix. Mm-hmm. On the YouTube version.
Yes, you mentioned these.
Paul's vocals are boosted up a couple decibels during the chorus. You can really hear them.
Yeah, that's quite shocking to me because I still feel like even in the YouTube version, they're not high enough, and it makes me dread to think how loud they are in the final album version. I didn't even bother to check that out.
You only watched the YouTube video?
Yeah, I mean, once I saw Paul...
That's insane. Like, isn't it like a crowd? At the end of the video, it's like a crowd scene, and there's like a big thing, and she's got a whole bunch of Ringo like pointing around and stuff, and his little like guys are the audience. The audience are his little like whatever cardboard wooden men.
It's a weird video. You get Paul?
Like, he did that. It seems like that was his idea.
Yeah, you also get Paul in his studio with like a little rat for some reason. I don't know what that's about. Yeah. Some
sort of clue to the upcoming Rupert Netflix documentary. TV show.
No, or maybe it was a Bruce McMouse reference. Who knows?
A reference to the archive collection that came out. It's an ad for Red Rose Speedway archive collection.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely hated this. It had that distinct song that has been written feeling, in the sense that you can tell that there wasn't much passion or an idea behind it. It's like that's just been workshopped between Ringo and a collaborator. You know, they pick a topic and then they just pick the most obvious rhymes to get us through one end of the song to the other. There's no vocal melody, no instrumental melody.
The collaborator here is a pretty good collaborator, Diane Warren.
Yeah, she brought in the song. It's not a good song, though. I'm sorry. It's not a good collaboration. At least when McCartney's on autopilot, you still get some solid stuff. But this is true bottom-of-the-barrel guck as far as I'm concerned.
You haven't heard the worst of it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to listen to the worst of it. I'm happy enough here. I mean, for some reason, Lenny Kravitz and Sheryl Crow are far more prominent in this mix.
Oh, yeah. Lenny Kravitz is like, yeah, this is the song thing.
Yeah. I kind of feel like a lot of these McCartney inclusions are just to con McCartney fans into buying this stuff. Well, if McCartney's on it, I need a full collection. I've got to buy Zoom In, Zoom Out now. Just a theory. I don't know. A bit cynical.
Too bad Paul wasn't on Change the World.
Let's change the world, yeah. Woo! Rock around the clock. Go for it.
Yeah, we're going to change the world. They got to change the packaging on the next EP. I think this would be you could have had a great little shot of Ringo like coming out with the Change the World like in the wide. Mm-hmm. But no, they had to show you what bricks were. They had to demonstrate.
Must have been nice and cheap for that one.
Oh, the hype sticker on Change the World. No, I'm sorry. It's Change the World, the brand new EP from Ringo Starr features Let's Change the World and 3 more new songs. $12 for 4 songs, everybody.
Yeah, that's
My Name was $11 for 10.
Wow, that's insane. What do you think? When you put it that way, oh my gosh. But just listen to it on Spotify, everyone.
Yeah.
Right, everyone, we have done it. We have gone through every fucking single Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr collaboration. If you're watching us on Patreon right now, we are both stretching because we have both been sat still for so long. And this is the longest episode I've done with a guest in a while, so I'm a little bit rusty. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really fun, really been illuminating for me. Yeah, I've loved this. I've learned a lot about Ringo today, and I feel like I need to check out his collection even less now. I think I've given it a good chance.
Okay, I've someone who's listened to every Ringo album aside from Give More Love. You should check out Ringorama, finish Vertical Man, check out Time Takes Time, and maybe listen to a couple songs off of Choose Love.
All right, for you, I'll do it. For you, I'll
at least Ringorama. That's a really good album.
All right.
I named the whole podcast after it.
Yes, you did. To be fair. So yeah,
my photo is a stolen Ringo Starr art picture with random text over it.
Dude, I stole temporary secretary for my theme music. I can't judge you.
My first theme music was like Eye to Eye by Ringo Starr, but I took out I muted the vocals. I used digital taking out vocals programs that are that Giles Martin is going to use on our Please Please Me box set. Hopefully.
Gotta love that royalty-free music, folks. But yeah, this has been our look at every single Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr collaboration. I've been Sam of Paul or Nothing. If you listen to Paul or Nothing, check me out next week with more content. If you're listening to this on Ringorama, thank you so much for having me on. Lucas, this has been great having a little chat with you. That wasn't so little. We've covered 50 plus years of content here. I'm sure this won't be the last of the Paul and Ringo collaborations. They'll probably do at least another couple.
You should still have me on if you do remixes, those 80s 12-inch mixes.
Yes, we'll definitely have to have.
I own the sub mix of Louis Le Soleil in lossless.
No, we're not doing any more now. This is it. I've done it. Yeah. I've done the Ringo stuff. I've braved it. I really enjoyed Vertical Man. I think You Can't Fight Lightning. The 3 songs I listened to. I really like them. And You Can't Fight Lightning was an absolute stunner for me. I still can't believe you own so much Ringo content. That is so cool.
This is not my whole thing. I own a copy of his live anthology from the Netherlands. It took 3 months to get here. But it returned itself. But eBay was like, this hasn't been here for 3 months. It's lost. We're going to refund you. And then it turns up. So it was free.
I think I've had that with a couple of records before, actually. That's pretty cool. Anyway, folks, this has been another episode of Paul or Nothing or Ringorama. Check out all of our links down below for each other's shows. I've been Sam. He's been Lucas. Peace and love. Peace and love. No more autographs. Change the world, everyone.
I have too much to do. 1 watch CD, 4 songs, $12.99.
That's so good.
Okay, let's try it.